Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Monday, June 16th, right here on Jox 94.5. Glad you're with us. We don't often start out the show with a guest, but when he is as important as Mike Monaco, we do. We'll talk College World Series here in just a moment. First, G-Mac, how was the weekend?
Great weekend. Great wedding. Definitely a little struggle, yesterday and today. Gave it all we had on the dance floor, but it was awesome. Really a lot of fun to celebrate, and a lot of fun to see a lot of old friends and celebrate my sister-in-law and now new brother-in-law.
What was your favorite song you danced to at the reception?
There were a couple that were a little bit surprising. The standard normal wedding hits.
Shout?
Yeah, Shout was in there. Just your normals. But towards the end, they went with All the Small Things from Blink-182. Just kind of caught everybody off guard, so that got everybody real jacked up. That'd probably been number one. Number one on the power rankings.
Yeah, that gets the people going.
Yeah, I mean, just when it's completely out of left field and you don't see it coming at all, it's a pretty good spot to be.
Okay, there it is. So, good Father's Day for you as well.
Yeah, real good Father's Day. Didn't do a whole lot. Spent most of the afternoon with my in-laws and just hanging out with the new bride and groom, and then got back last night about 7:00. Ate some Chinese food, standard, and then got ready for the week. Good weekend. Great weekend.
What was his weird Chinese order before? Chinese food and wings or something? What did you like to have Chinese food and pizza? No, you've done that. You've told us.
We've definitely had mashups before, but that's usually in leftover circumstances where I've had like Mexican and Chinese food, or pizza and Chinese food. Like that seldom does that get. Are you talking about like what is the Sunday order?
I don't know. I just recall that you have told us before that you eat Chinese food with something else that's not normal.
Not often together. So my normal Sunday routine is church, taco casa, then Chinese food for dinner.
It's a lot.
Like in a perfect world, that's the perfect Sunday cuisine.
Got it. Okay. The perfect Monday cuisine to start the show would be Mike Monaco joining us now on the Higginbotham hotline. Because of coaches' calls, going to try and squeeze us in before all that gets going. Mike, appreciate the time today. College World Series underway. And it doesn't seem like, I'm just going to say the little guys have been overwhelmed at all. I think a lot of people thought Murray State would roll in. Maybe not so much Coastal would roll in, and this would be a little bit too much for them. But it just, first and foremost, doesn't feel like the spot or the competition has been too much for those teams whatsoever.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
I know we're coming in right off the hop here, so hope we're doing great. Thanks for working me in around these coach calls. Yeah, I agree with that, Cole. I don't think anyone has been overwhelmed here, really. Man, Coastal Carolina was super impressive last night. I thought Murray State totally battled in their first game against UCLA. They made it pretty interesting down the stretch. I think everyone has kind of acquitted themselves pretty well, and I think that's kind of what we thought going in. That all year there hasn't been this one super team in college baseball the way there was the last 4 years, I would say. I definitely think LSU and Arkansas are the two most talented teams here, and LSU, because they won Saturday, is in great position. But yeah, I think it's been a pretty interesting field, and we knew that coming in. First time since the 1950s that we hadn't had a return team from last year. We got all this different sort of conference representation here. It's been different.
Looking at that LSU Arkansas game, you referenced it, two of the most talented teams. I know it's been a couple days, but pretty remarkable to see the bats for Arkansas just completely quieted by Anderson and just how well he pitched. So what would you make of that performance, and how does that alter how they'll approach their pitching staff moving forward here, knowing if they get a win in the winner's bracket game, they could be sitting in a really good spot?
Yeah, Greg, it was super impressive. I guess first things first on Cade Anderson. He could go as high as the first overall pick, and I don't really see how he could get out of the top 10. He's just like the most big league ready starter from college right now. Like, you could make the case that Tennessee's lefty Liam Doyle who's a madman out there, like maybe he could get to a bullpen faster. And if you really wanted to fast track him, heck, he could be in the big leagues, this year after he gets drafted. But Cade Anderson, 4 pitches for strikes, really good command. And man, I love his competitiveness, and like you guys both would too. Like he is an hour from Baton Rouge, where he grew up. All he ever wanted to do was to play at LSU. And he didn't really pitch all that well in the super regionals, but he just gritted his teeth. Like it was hot, maybe wasn't feeling great. And he still found a way to get through 7, and he was ticked off after it. So he came here with, something to show. So I think it was really impressive. And for me, like the next level question with him is just how quickly can he get into a major league rotation? I asked that to Chris Burke and Kyle Peterson on the air. I said, is it 24 months? And they were like, I don't think it's going to be that long. And then the second part of it, and yeah, it's exactly right, Greg, is what it does for their pitching. Because he went into the 8th inning, man, they're in great shape. And we already knew it was maybe the best 1-2 in the country with Anthony Ianson, so he's going to go tonight against UCLA. You do that, you get into a really good position where you're then 1 win away from the finals, and you can align things a little bit differently. Someone would have to beat you 2 times to prevent you from getting to the finals. So it was a huge game, just especially the way their pitching is constructed. Because I do think the flip side of that is Arkansas is the best equipped team to lose its first game and still try to find a way to a national championship.
Mike Monaco of ESPN, been on the call for College World Series all across the weekend. It gets going again today at 1 o'clock, Murray State, Arkansas. Tonight, 6 o'clock, UCLA, LSU. Let's focus on that matchup since we're talking LSU. What do you look at these 2 teams and how they match up? What's the aspect of either that they're going to have to overcome the most? Where's the biggest mismatch with LSU and UCLA tonight?
I think arms. Like Ianson's the real deal. UCLA, like they have good arms on their staff, and that's kind of what they've been built on in the time that John Savage has been there. And it took them some time to get back. But it's been a really, really good season for them. Top 16 national seed, like it is legitimate. But again, going up against Ianson, and I think an offense in LSU that is playing well at this time of the year. Like Stephen Milam, Monster Milam, he's got the tiger stripes in his hair. He's like a 5'9" shortstop. We love it. The way he has swung the bat here these last few weeks in the NCAA tournament, it totally changes their offense. So what he can do is really impressive. And then the question, I think, in the short term, everyone zoomed in on one game, is, Jared Jones, their slugger who's been around forever, it feels like. He was 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. So I know pretty publicly he was out there getting work in yesterday, and that's all over the deep reaches of college baseball Twitter, which I'm sure you guys were locked in on, it sounds like, on your Father's Day. That's going to be important, too, in the long term of their offense here over the next week or however long LSU can stay here.
Looking at this game today, to think that Arkansas could be, 1 game away from elimination is pretty mind blowing. What I think most people would say that's probably the best roster top to bottom going that's there. How important is it to get this one? Naturally, I know it ends their season, but more so the investment that they've made and the shortcomings that they've had historically at the College World Series. This one feels like there's extra pressure. Am I reading it right?
I agree with that, Greg. Like, this team is loaded, absolutely loaded, and they've known that this season. And Dave Van Horn was pretty emotional after the Supers, after they beat Tennessee. And we asked him about it the other day in our meeting before that first game with LSU. It was like, why was there such emotion? And he was like, because I knew how good this team was. And when you don't have divisions anymore and you can't get a division title that way, which some coaches still put some stock into, you're looking for something to, define a good team. And just getting here is that. Like he said, he views that as a championship of sorts in getting here. And look, like he's 64 years old. Like how many more great teams are you going to get? How many more awesome cracks at it with everything that's changed in college athletics are you going to know you get every year? Because it is hit and miss sometimes in the portal. They really hit this year, man. Like this team is loaded. Maybe the deepest pitching staff in college baseball, a lineup that I do think is better than what they've had the last few years. So I think it would be, really disheartening to go 0-2, especially knowing, hey, Murray State's been a great story, but on paper, our Arkansas needs to hang around. And again, they are positioned well. Like Gabe Gackle came on in relief in that game when Zach Root came out, in the second inning, and Gackle was awesome, man. He was, those are the types of performances that you need if you're going to do it the hard way in a college baseball weekend, particularly in Omaha or the regionals weekend. You just need pitching to kind of go that way. So the arms are stacked up in a pretty good spot. But yeah, this was the team. They knew this was the team, and Dave Van Horn, probably more openly and emotionally than we've seen recently, has been talking about them that way.
Mike Monaco of ESPN with us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Since you just mentioned it, I want to get sort of what you have heard as the sentiment of the portal heading into this College World Series. And not just portal, but portal, NIL, roster change, roster turnover, sort of where we are in college baseball. Most of us looked at this a year, 2 years ago and said, man, the big boys are just going to run away with this. The smaller guys not going to be able to keep up. And then we get to this field in the College World Series, which is diverse through conference and then diverse through level of school, actually, which is kind of cool. But what are the coaches saying? What are you hearing just about all of it in general of where we are with roster turnover in college baseball? Because this is not the field that a lot of people anticipated.
Yeah, I think there's so many fun layers to that, or interesting layers to that, Cole. I think the first one is that over the last few years out here, when we've gotten to Omaha, there's a fear. And I think this is true with a lot of sports in college athletics. There was a fear that it was going to be all SEC and ACC in college baseball, because that's how the field was last year. It was 4 of each, 4 SEC teams, 4 ACC teams. And with the portal and money and all of that, I think there was a lot of coach fear that it was just going to become so concentrated with those 2 conferences. And so, okay, is 1 year for real? Is it anecdotal this year that we have, 6 different representations, so to speak? You've got an independent in Oregon State. I don't know, but I do think there is just so much variance when you get portal and NIL, and now we're getting, the house settlement and all that. I do think there's so much variance that, it probably means we're okay. We don't need to, set the world on fire completely, I guess more than we already have in college athletics. The other part, I guess, to answer your question directly on what coaches think, kind of like every sport, they don't love the calendar of the portal. I mean, you guys see it in the college football playoff with dudes hitting the portal and, they got playoff games coming up. We see that in basketball. Basketball coaches complaining about the portal open date in relation to the Final Four. Well, it's the same way in college baseball. And we hear this every year from coaches who are here. And then we hear it the year after the fact, too, that it is really hard. And look, no one's complaining about having a team in Omaha, but it's really hard to try to win games at the College World Series and also build your roster for next year, because the portal's open. Dudes are committing. We're hearing about that news all the time. And these coaches out here are working the phones while also trying to go over scouting reports against major league caliber arms or guys who are going to be there in short order. So I think that's something that keeps popping up with coaches. And then the other one was that, with the house settlement, again, they're getting ready for super regionals. And I think that drops, the Thursday night leading into super regionals, something like that. And there's no perfect time for it on the calendar. There's so many sports calendars you're working around with college athletics at large. But I do think there was a sense of oh man, this stuff is changing. We're trying to figure out our rosters. Portal's open, and we don't even know what our roster rules are for next season. So that's some of the big stuff as well. I think some of the money talk has died down, this guy's getting how much in the portal. I think we've kind of lost the concern with the big numbers that are eye-catching and the whispers that are going around in the portal. And I think it's now kind of just moved over to how many scholarships are you going to get? What's your school doing when it comes to the house settlement and all that?
It's so wild to think about. We've seen this before with guys getting drafted. And I think it's usually in the super regional round. It used to be where a guy would be out there playing left field or something and he would get drafted. They'd have to tell him when he came in. Now you're sitting there. I mean, like you said, you're scouting a first round pitcher 1 minute, and then the next minute, you're trying to fix your roster, go call a kid for the portal, and you don't know what your portal rules are going to be, what they're going to allow next season. It's just wild to think about that you could have this much on the line and you have to worry about all those other things. But We'll be watching today, Mike. 1 o'clock ESPN, Murray State, Arkansas. 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN, UCLA, LSU, College World Series. You guys done a great job so far. Enjoyed it, and look forward to catching up with you again soon, man. Good luck today.
Fellas, thank you. If we've done anything well out here, Greg, you know him well. It's all thanks to Scott Johnson. So
always,
that's what we're hanging our hat on out here.
Make sure you contribute to the slush fund to buy Scott's watch. I sent my Venmo in to Larry Faircloth the other day, so make sure you do that, Mike. Don't get cheap on us now.
I'm on it. I'm firing it off as we speak. Fellas, thank you. Have a good morning.
See you, bud.
Mike Monaco of ESPN joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline there, talking some College World Series. That goes today. Murray State, Arkansas. It'll be an elimination game, 1 o'clock on ESPN, and then 6 o'clock on ESPN, UCLA, LSU. We had a lot of it on over the weekend. It's just been an enjoyable watch for a lot of different reasons, and College World Series is kind of nothing like it. But cool to see the field and then how things have gone. I've been really impressed with Coastal, and obviously came in right at a 23-game win streak. They have not disappointed. I think LSU is, without a doubt, looked like the best team there so far. But it's just a fun tournament, and it's a fun scene always, GMAC, and obviously we got a lot more of it to go.
Well, I think what's fun about it is it's just the diversity and the different matchups. Like, for instance, I'm probably as excited about the Arkansas-Murray State game today for a million different reasons. Partly because Murray State's the underdog Cinderella, and they haven't looked like a team that is at all intimidated by playing where they're playing. And then you have Arkansas on the other side, who might be the most stacked roster in the sport. And they're on the same field today, playing against each other, one probably with 10 times the resources than the other. Like, that to me makes it really fun. So,
have you seen the photographs of Murray State's like outfield and bullpen that have been floating around?
No.
I'll send those to you. It's just entertaining to see. Like, there's holes in the outfield wall. The bullpen, just like an old chain link fence, looks like you'd find it down at George Ward Park or something. I mean, it's just like it's wild.
It's a little different at
it's a smidge different than
at Arkansas.
Yeah, just a little bit different there, but that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it cool. And Mike mentioned those scouting reports, and that's one thing that I don't often just lock in on baseball and dial in on baseball, but you do forget sometimes that it's not just about throwing hard. It's not about guys that can just hit. That a lot of scouting does go into it, and there are a lot of different advantages. I'll give you an example. Saturday afternoon, kind of like a lot of storms coming in and out, rain off and on, and my 5-year-old loves the Orioles for just a totally random, no reason whatsoever. Like, he just likes the Orioles, and so we're watching, and like he likes Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, and it's just like they got a lot of young players, so it's actually a cool team for him to like. And we sat through about 6 innings of a Major League Baseball game, which I'm not sure I've done consecutively in about a decade.
Really?
And they're playing the Angels, and the kid catching for the Angels had actually felt the Baltimore announced team was demolishing this guy. Just talking about like his percentage of throwing guys out, percentage of runners that had stolen on him versus the other catchers that they had. I mean, every negative stat you could come up with, they had him. They're just dumping on this dude.
Yeah.
However, like, they kept running on him. And, I mean, Rutschman, who catches, not a great runner, like, he's still second base. Henderson comes up a couple, he's still second. Like, they're all running on him. And then the same thing happened with the right fielder. They're taking all these extra bases, and they're talking about how the scouting report said it's worth the risk to take these extra bases when certain guys have the ball hit to them. And I think we forget sometimes that there's still a ton of strategy that goes into baseball, and there's a ton of scouting that needs to be done. And when you get these bigger games and these bigger moments, because I heard a lot of conversation like those through the College World Series this weekend, you have to take advantage of this in this spot. And against this guy, if you can do it, you got to go out there and try to execute it because you have a little bit of an advantage there. And it's just cool to listen to. Those guys calling to do an awesome job. I mean,
yeah.
we know them. We love them. And some of the guys that ESPN has out there calling these College World Series games, I think, are some of the best analysts across any sport. So it makes it a great watch. It really does.
Well, it's also just it's playoff sports. Like, and in baseball, when it's not a series, if you will, it's truly win or go home in some situations because of the way the formatted double elimination works. It's just highly, highly entertaining. I mean, it's like every game's game 7. So I don't care what the circumstances are of your fandom. I don't care if you don't even watch college baseball or you don't even like college baseball. Now would be the time to give it a chance, because I think you'd be really impressed with what you see. It's just really, really fun. And the way that the players have a ton of energy, the scene and scenery in Omaha is incredible. It's a really cool, really, really, really great event.
And buying a home can be a great event or it can be a miserable event. Gusty Gould's Group wants to make it a great event. 205-542-1996. They can help you do that. Go to GustyGouldsGroup.com today. Button at the top right of the page. Smash that button. Very little information. They'll let you know what your home is worth. Over 855-star Google reviews. So just search Gusty Gould's Group for yourself and see what people are saying. You can trust his aggressive and proven selling system because he serves over 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. I know Gusty. I know his family. Great people. They just want to help you get what you want, and they want to help you get what you deserve, whether that's selling your home and getting top dollar or getting to the home of your dreams. Since 2012, recognized nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. So call 205-542-1996 today or go to GustyGouldGroup.com. Maybe one of the biggest random Mondays in sports in June history. I'll tell you why next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning for a random Monday in June. I feel like today's a pretty big day. You get NBA Finals tonight, 7:30, series tied at 2, which this has been a pretty phenomenal series. We've seen multiple comebacks from both teams in this series so far. Almost every game has appeared as though it's going to go one way and then gone the other. So ABC tonight, 7:30, you get Pacers and Thunder game 5. Also, as we mentioned, 1 o'clock today, you get Murray State, Arkansas in the College World Series on ESPN. Tonight, UCLA, LSU, 6 o'clock on ESPN. You get that game. You have another reason? Do you know why else I would go with like major random sports Monday in June today?
I honestly,
you of all people should know this.
I honestly have no idea what else is going on beyond what you just described.
Nothing else that you know of that seems to be like kind of big or semi-big tonight?
What are we, 80 days to college football?
No, I think we're under that. Actually, I think we're in the 70s, believe it or not.
Are we... Is today we announced the Joe Moore watch list?
There is no such thing because every team's on the watch list, so therefore you don't need a list. It's all of them. Tonight at 9:10 on MLB Network, there is a certain individual that in a very unique way will make his return. Do you know what that is?
On MLB Network.
Correct.
Certain individual.
Padres at Dodgers today, excuse me.
Oh, Shohei's pitching. You mad?
As an opener.
You mad?
As an opener.
As a starter.
Technically.
So
will go no more than 2 innings, possibly just go 1. So first off, you don't hear of a opener in Major League Baseball very often anymore, of a guy who's just going to come in and try to get a live inning or two. And then obviously Shohei Ohtani is going to make his return to the mound tonight at 9:10. So you've got NBA Finals, you got Shohei back on the mound, you got College World Series. So just a pretty big random Monday sports day in June for everything that's going to be going on.
I think that's pretty interesting, and I will probably be watching the Shohei. I probably will stay up late enough to watch Shohei tonight. That 1 inning is going to be worth the wait.
I'll have to ask Pat Smith, but I don't know.
Greatest baseball player ever if he strikes somebody out.
I'm not going to give him that just for that. I think he based on some longevity has a chance to be in the mix for that title. Hit an absolute rocket over the weekend. I think he hit one it was like 431 with like a launch angle of like 23 or something. Just stupid.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that he does on a regular basis. But if he gets back on the mound and gets to 80% of where he was before, he easily has a chance to go down with that title, in my opinion. But seeing him back on the mound tonight is going to be pretty cool. And I don't know when the last time I saw a guy operate at the major league level as a, quote, opener, knowing you're going to go out. Because you wouldn't expect someone to go up like this. You'd expect him to maybe come in the 5th or 6th, get you an inning or two, and then kind of go from there. But he'll get the start tonight against San Diego, and we'll see how it goes. I'm with you. It'll be a cool watch either way, 9-10, so I don't think the kids will be up to watch it. But they'll be excited to hear that he's going to be back on the mound tonight. And then you get the NBA Finals, which has been back and forth. Series tied at 2, Game 5 tonight. You get some UCLA LSU tonight, 6 o'clock ESPN, College World Series. Elimination game today during the day. So a pretty cool sports day here for June 16th when a lot of times not much going on.
No, plenty going on right now. If you're into just all over the place, there's a lot of good stuff to watch right now. I'm excited about the College World Series, though. I mean, the games that I'm most excited about today, I'm really intrigued by Murray State and really intrigued by Murray State and Arkansas. Like I cannot wait for that, and we'll be trying to figure out a way to make sure I'm in front of my TV when that game gets going, because there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to the College World Series. But man, these elimination games just obviously something extra. So at 1 o'clock today, you know exactly where I'll be.
Yeah, and I feel like it comes down to, from what I've seen so far in this College World Series, mistakes are just magnified. You boot a ball, you get an overthrow, you hit a batter, and all of a sudden they seem to those mistakes are times 10, times 20 what they are in the regular season. It feels like in this College World Series, 1-2 mistakes can oftentimes just be such a big difference in what's going to happen. Because I do think the playing field, from a team perspective, is fairly equal. Like Mike Monaco told us in our last segment, talent-wise, maybe not. But a lot of times when you're talking just certain talent, certain teams, those individuals aren't out there if you're talking about pitchers. They're only going to go every few games, so they're not always going to be there. But I've just been most impressed with Coastal, man. To be able to go and do what they've done, obviously the way that they rolled through that Auburn regional and then get to Omaha and look as strong as they have. I just think that they've been super impressive. And they're not going to go today, but I'm be interested to see. Friday, they took down Arizona 7-4. Oregon State took down Louisville 4-3, and then Saturday, UCLA gets past Murray State 6-4, LSU 4-1 over Arkansas, and then yesterday, Louisville over Arizona takes care of Arizona 8-3, and then Coastal over Oregon State 6-2, Oregon State going home. So it's just been that's the team that I think I was most intrigued to watch. We know what LSU is, we know what Arkansas is, we've seen them, talked about them a lot, but Coastal riding that win streak in, and then having to do what they did in that Auburn regional, and then coming into Omaha, wanted to see, and they've been there before, but I mean, none of these kids were there. They weren't really a part of it, so I don't think that has a ton to do with it. But man, they just they seem like they could be that team again this year with what they're able to do and how they've been able to do it.
I mean, the last time they lost was when?
25 games ago.
April 10th.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah, they're in a good spot.
I think that's solid.
There's no doubt.
Is it good to win baseball games consecutively like that?
I do think that baseball. Oh, this would be a fun discussion. Baseball more than any other sport. It depends on the momentum and it depends on how it happens. But I think the carryover is easier because the games are more on a more consecutive basis. Like football, you could say momentum in game may mean more.
Yeah.
Because you think about the changeover in baseball. Like the inning ends, you run into the dugout, the other team goes out, like you're switching identities basically. You're going from defense to offense. Basketball, I think you have more stoppages. Do we think we have more stoppages in football or basketball? I would say basketball, right?
Basketball.
Like you get fouls more often, yeah.
Yeah.
No, John,
sure.
now that I think about it, there's no way there's more stoppages in football than basketball. Unless you want to call the end of a play a stoppage, but that's not a stoppage, really. I mean, you're still playing.
But there's often change out, and you got D linemen running in and huffing in, and some people waiting.
But you're still
to change their
in
mind.
game at that point. I'm talking like stoppages of play. I think there's definitely
That's
more in
the case, then
basketball.
yes.
So I would say in game football momentum probably means more. Overall momentum, as far as game to game, it's got to be baseball because you're playing so many consecutive nights, so many consecutive days. Would we agree with that?
Yes.
So where does momentum play in for basketball the most? It's got to be late game, right? Like who has the hot hand late? Because I mean, how many times do we get to the end of a game?
The ball last
I mean, hell, almost
situation.
every game in this NBA Finals, it's been. I mean, who has a hot hand late? I mean, this last game, who's making free throws late? It's just. But I do think in baseball, like you said, winning consecutive games, I think that overall mentality, mindset of having momentum and like feeling good about yourself, I think the carryover probably better, easier in baseball than any other sport. Because football, we got to go sit at home for 6 days. You got to travel home, then you got to practice, then you got to go play again out somewhere else. I don't know if football, the momentum from a week in, week out basis is easy to carry over, near as easy to carry over as it is in baseball. Baseball, so much of it mental belief, like you just got to know you're that guy or we're that team or we got that dude on the mound. And in football, there's so many different matchups that you have to be concerned with, worried about. And then basketball is just, I mean, who's hot at the time? Like who's getting shots, who's knocking down shots, and then you kind of go from there. But it's an interesting thought of like winning consecutive baseball games. How much more important can it be just because of the frequency in which you're going to be out there and you're going to be playing? It's kind of cool to think about.
It's insane. I think it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to think about how often things can not go your way in baseball. Think about how many individual plays there are. I mean, how many pitches? Every pitch is an individual play.
Well, not just the pitcher, but the catcher. I mean,
well, yeah. I mean,
you got to catch the ball. You get a pass ball. You get a runner goes to second.
Correct.
All of a sudden, he's in scoring position. Now you change your mindset.
I mean, you have one pass ball, you lose the game. Like that's why they play 162 of them in the show because you're going to have a really fluky and unnatural ways to lose games randomly. So to win 25 in a row is insane. I remember, of course, the Athletics winning, I believe, 27 in a row during their streak during the Moneyball streak. It was in the movie. It was some ridiculous number of consecutive wins. But it just doesn't happen very often like that. I don't recall. It might not have been 27. It was some ridiculous number, though. Either way, it's mind-blowing to think just how difficult it is to win that many games in baseball when so much circumstance is involved. One bad pitch, you lose the game.
No doubt. All right. I want to get to, speaking of individuals who are going to impact things, some transfer portal guys that we think will impact the most. We'll run through a couple of those on the other side. You'll have to wait for that. But one thing you never have to wait for, GMAC, is your dental care.
That's because Family Care Dental has you taken care of. The urgent care office you can be seen the same day. Several locations to make it easy on you in Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, and Alabaster. Go and check Family Care Dental out. You'll be glad that you did. You'll get in, you'll get it taken care of, and you'll be very happy with the experience that you have. So call them today. Like I said, most insurance plans accepting patients of all ages. They can also see you on Fridays and Saturdays, which makes things a lot easier when trying to put your schedule together. So call them today at 874-9605. That's Family Care Dental, 874-9605.
Some individuals that we have been talking about and have not been talking about that may impact this college football season the most, coming from new places. We'll discuss that and more next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, Greg's calling for watch lists, and I don't know if any of those are coming out anytime soon, but I do have some other lists that we need to get to right here at 7:40 Monday, June 16th on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning as we move into college football. 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. You can listen online, joxfm.com. The app is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. Watch live on YouTube each and every morning. All you have to do is search Jox 945 or tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jox skill.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champs of GMC dealers. You'll be amazed, absolutely amazed at some of the experiences that you have when you shop at Bill Smith Buick GMC. You'll see. Just go take a short drive up to Coleman. You'll see for yourself why they are the standard when it comes to GMC dealers here in the Southeast. You can go get yourself a GMC Sierra 2500. That's a 2500. These are absolutely beautiful vehicles. You get the Denali Ultimate package as well to soup it up even nicer. Most places you're not ever going to get a discount on this. Well, at Bill Smith, you're getting it for $7,000 off the sticker. You're getting it for under $90,000. These are deals that you just won't find anywhere else. Those are the Sierras that are 2,500, man. You can't even get them. And they're giving them away at next to cost. So highly recommend you taking the short drive up to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, so our friends at PFF have a new list that has emerged, and it is the most impactful transfer portal players.
Ayo!
10,
in NIL or in play?
10 impact players to know revisiting college football's transfer portal. Some of these blatantly obvious. Some of these maybe we need to spend a little bit more time on because we haven't just yet. The first that comes in, I think everyone will know which direction this one's going to go, would be quarterback Carson Beck, Miami. We know what he is. We know what he has a chance to be, but we haven't talked about him much recently. And the one thing that I am intrigued in, Greg, is just to see how he fits into the system because it will be somewhat different than what he operated in Athens, but also has a chance to give him maybe more opportunities to do some things down the field. Shannon Dawson, still an air raid disciple at heart. Now, he's not going to run just air raid anymore, but a lot of those principles are going to be there. So he'll have some opportunities to push the ball down the field a little bit more, and depending on how he fits into it. The other thing I'm interested in is you go back to last year. I mean, Cam Ward and his ability to ad lib or sort of wait on things to happen and be able to find them himself was uncanny. I don't know if Carson Beck has that, and he's not going to have that ability to be able to move around and sort of wait for some things to develop. Now that we've had a little time to sort of put this on the back burner and revisit it, Carson Beck in this scheme, in this system, how do you see this working out?
Absolutely love it. I don't think I really don't think you can ask for a better situation if you're Carson Beck. I mean, like honestly, look at the other transfer quarterbacks this year and tell me who's in a better spot. The only one that you can honestly make an argument on behalf of is what you're getting with John Mateer at Oklahoma. He's the only guy that you can make a case for because he's at least played in the same system under the same offensive coordinator. Now, a pretty significant step up in competition, obviously. It's not Pac-12 is very different than the SEC, but I happen to think his game will translate. So outside of maybe John Mateer, there's not a guy that improved his situation more. And it's not a slight on Georgia whatsoever. It's really not. But if you look at the supporting cast that surrounded Carson Beck last year and the amount of blame he took and the amount of challenges he took, and I think just a guy that really needed a fresh start under the circumstances, I'm not sure it could have worked out better for him.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I think it's got a chance to be great. I think that offensive line has a chance to be pretty good. I think the receivers are solid. I don't know if they're as good across the board as they were last year.
No, I don't think they are going to be as good. They're going to be really young, but really talented.
So you've got an opportunity for it to be great. I'm not going to throw it in as much as being a lock, I guess, as I thought Cam Ward had a chance to be last year. But his skill set is a good fit for what they want to do and how they want to operate. Next in line would be Nico Iamaleava. I think we all know the talent, the ceiling that's there. And I do think lost in a lot of maybe some of how he didn't operate to his highest ability last year and then how the departure took place, Greg. I think that has stripped away a little bit of the ceiling of the ability of this young man and what he actually has a chance to be just from a player perspective. I mean, this kid still has a ton of God-given ability and has great size, big arm, good mobility. There's a lot to like with what Nico Iamaleava could end up being as a college quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nico's got a ton of talent. No one has ever doubted his talent. I do think he had a pretty good situation last year, and I do think at times he was remarkably average under the circumstances. And I think he's having talent. People always misconstrue this. Having talent does not mean just because you have elite skill set doesn't mean you're an elite player. That's a big difference there. He has an elite skill set, but he's not yet anywhere close to becoming an elite player. I'm hoping that can happen. I got to be honest with you, though. I don't know a whole lot about his supporting cast.
Do you know who his offensive coordinator is?
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people do. I mean, Tino Sinceri doesn't have a lengthy reputation across college football.
No.
We obviously know the name, specifically the last name.
Well, he was at Indiana last year as a quarterback coach, and that's a very quarterback-friendly offense.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think he's going to be. I think Nico's got a chance to be pretty good. I think in that offense, you need guys on the outside that can win one-on-ones. And I don't know enough about UCLA's players on the perimeter to feel confident in knowing that they're going to be able to win a bunch of one-on-ones and get a bunch of back shoulders like Indiana was able to do. Look, you say what you want about Indiana last year. Their receivers were dudes. And that is, I think, a big part of why they were as good as they were.
So a lot of new guys coming in, like a Mikey Matthews, who's been at Cal, been at Utah. Is he going to be enough to be able to help on the perimeter? Jaden Wilson transferring in from Arkansas, a little bit underwhelming in his time at Arkansas. You've got a couple of new faces on the offensive line, like a Cortland Ford, who we saw at USC and Kentucky, thought he was going to be better at Kentucky than he was, kind of never really panned out and got going there. Julian Armella, who's been at Florida State. I'm not going to say necessarily has just been a player, a glass eater by any stretch of the imagination. So like you said, there's a lot of unknowns, and there's going to be a lot of wait and see as to what that thing's going to look like. But the talent absolutely is there. The ability is there. There's just a lot of other things that have to happen. Next in line will be running back Mekhi Hughes at Oregon. This is one that I absolutely feel like should be on this list. Unless you really went and watched Tulane the last 2 years, I don't think you have an idea how good this young man is. He can operate as an absolute hammer. I think he's loose enough in the open field to be able to make people miss. He's great after contact. He's operated as a lead blocker at times in that offense with some of the quarterback run stuff that they did. He's a guy that I've talked to John Summerall about that he absolutely did not want to lose, understood the decision, but was bummed to miss out on because he knows what kind of a player this young man can be. He could be big time in this Oregon offense, and I don't think a lot of people talking about just what kind of a get this was for Dan Lanning.
I mean, I think Oregon is always going to be able to – they'll always be – if they put this list together every year, they're always going to be in the mix because they have such great resources. But I also think Dan Lanning does a good job of recognizing system fit. And I also think Dan Lanning has a really good job of understanding what kind of guy they're getting as well. So I'll be curious to see how it all works out. But, yeah, I mean, I think Dan Lanning and Oregon are always going to be heavy players in the portal, and we'll always be able to land some of the most impactful guys.
All right, so we'll continue this list on the other side. Transfer portal players maybe not getting the discussion that they deserve. That and more next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 7:52 Monday, June 16th, right here on Jox 94.5. Going to continue to roll through PFF's list of 10 impact players to know revisiting college football's transfer portal. We got through Nico Iamaleava, Carson Beck, Mekhi Hughes. Next in line would be Eric Singleton, a guy we spent a lot of time on. Greg deserves to be on this list. Somebody who, according to PFF, scored above the 99th percentile in their game athleticism score metric.
Walk me through that.
Can't. Won't try.
I need you to just explain it to me.
Well, what it means is when you're thinking about percentiles, 99th usually sounds really good for whatever reason. And then athleticism score that you metrically show up at across games that you play in, he's really good. Yeah, I don't know. Game athleticism score metric
did
is
you call
about
your friends at Redstone?
About as much of a made-up statistical number formula that you could ever imagine.
Friends at Redstone,
they also think it's dumb. And made up.
But do they think is it a mathematical formula?
Who knows?
1,400. You need to know as a math guy.
No, I don't. 1,468 receiving yards over 2 years. That's second most amongst returning Power 4 wide receivers. So this guy can get it done in a lot of different ways. I do think he gives you a different option on deep balls, which if Cam Coleman is sort of your one-on-one attack the football guy on one side, you have the opportunity to put Singleton in different places that can attack it that way because he does have that legitimate speed to take the top off, but it's the intermediate stuff, Greg, in which I think he can maybe be most beneficial for Jackson Arnold. At the end of the day, Jackson Arnold's got to figure out how to let the ball go and be confident in different ways to get the ball to some of these guys that can make these plays. But Singleton is – and I don't understand it because Georgia Tech did exceed expectations, and they had a good season last year. Yet so many people just still are blind to what he's able to do and has done. I'm not talking about what he can be in Auburn's offense this year. What he has already done at Georgia Tech should be described at a much different level than it is.
Well, I don't think a lot of people are paying great attention to Georgia Tech last year. And when they do, they remember moments, but they don't remember specific plays. They remember moments a la their performance against Georgia on a massively viewed game. On a Friday night before Thanksgiving. Like a lot of people watch that game and people remember that, but they probably don't remember the specifics. They remember Haynes King, but I don't think across the board, a lot of people are super aware of just how impactful Singleton can be and just how impactful the receivers and weaponry that Haynes King had last year can be. That was a pretty dang good group across the board, including Singleton.
So I think he deserves to be there. I don't think there's any doubt about that. You deserve to be at your CBD store. Why? Well, if you're looking to lose weight, the Trim by SunMed on the shelves now at your CBD store. If it's better focused throughout the course of the day, they have products that can help you with that. Better night's sleep, products that can help you there as well. At the largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world, first company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements on the shelves. They've got the stamp seal on those products. Therefore, they're going to achieve a certain set of tests and standards. Arthritis, anxiety for you or your pet, your CBD store has answers to make your daily routine better. 3 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleaver, and Trustful just off 459, your CBD store where good health hits home. We'll continue running through this list of portal players that need to be talked about and then roll that into potential national title contenders next. Hour number 2 underway. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Glad you're with us. 800-239-9569. You can tweet in at Mac and Cube. Portal players maybe not getting enough discussion. Who would those be for you? Do you have a player coming in the transfer portal that you feel like needs a little bit more discussion? We'll get back to that list and then roll that into maybe some national championship contenders we're not talking about enough. I'm all over the list today. We've got all of them. Stephen Madrid tweets in at Mac and Cube. Greg, quote, walk me through that. Cole, I can't. Totally made up metric for sure. I don't know what goes into it, how it starts.
You're our math guy. You're our official metric man.
There's no way. The metric man. There you go. What was better, Mega Man or Metric Man?
Ooh, it's a great question.
Mega Man legit back in the day. Spring weather in Alabama can be really unpredictable. That's why you need the reliability of a Train, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand right now. You can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Train home comfort systems. Find out more at Train.com. It's hard to stop a Train. Okay, we'll continue going through this list. There's nobody really that has been arguable just yet. Next, KC Concepcion. You're not going to be mad at this one. Texas A&M coming over for NC State. A little bit of a down year last year, but 2-year production has been fantastic. He has 792 yards after the catch since 2023. That would be second most among returning Power 4 receivers. 16 receiving touchdowns, the most over the last 2 years. And something we haven't really mentioned, Greg, too, he has 357 rushing yards. But he can be a guy that hurts you in different ways from different places and is going to be a massive add for Texas A&M.
Yeah, I think as far as just pound-for-pound player, just a football player, all-purpose, get him the ball in space, let him do things with it. He's just extremely explosive and can do a lot of things for you. I mean, he's great playing in the slot. He's great putting him in the backfield, motioning him out of the backfield. He can just do a lot of different things. So I think that's what makes him such an intriguing player, is that as a quarterback and as a offensive coordinator, you can do, and this guy, there's not one thing this guy, he can probably throw it. Like, I mean, he's just a great football player. So I think he's a fantastic add at A&M. I think he's probably one of the most underrated and under-talked about players in the country coming into the season, because he's got all-American potential. He really has that kind of potential. Now, his quarterback situation the last 2 years at NC State has not been good. I mean, let's just call it what it was. The quarterback play there left an awful lot to be desired. So,
was that maybe the biggest quarterback transfer letdown last year in
Grayson McCall? I mean, he got hurt.
They've had a couple of them, actually. They've had a couple that we thought were going to be nice, and then it's like just has not worked.
I mean, Brent Armstrong was great at Virginia.
Big numbers.
So I don't know why it didn't work out at NC State, but it just didn't. It's
funny that you say that, because I actually was going to say I think the only thing that keeps this from not being an absolute home run from A&M is a potential quarterback situation.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of it has to do with, I think Marcel's going to be fine. If you actually look at the numbers and like the QBR and stuff like that, like Marcel actually had a pretty good year last year.
What was his game athleticism score metric, though?
I don't know that. I'm not sure what that is. I do think QBR is a pretty all-encompassing evaluation on a scale from 1 to 100, and he was in the mid-70s. That's not bad at all. It's actually quite solid. Now, the best guys are in the 90s. So he's not one of the best guys right now, but maybe that's the next step. And with an improved supporting cast, and his hopefully his running back room staying healthy, that number can go up this year. So I'm optimistic about Marcel Reed, probably more so than you, but I also know that he's got to go out there and do it.
Okay. So we both believe that he could be a big one.
Huge one.
Next in line would be tight end Jack Indries from Cal going to Texas. Started as a walk-on, has been a really good player for Cal. 1,030 receiving yards since 2023. Not super athletic, but loose enough to be able to find space. Can hurt you a little bit after the catch. I think he's super solid. I think he's a minor step down from what they had a year ago. but I think he's somebody who could fit in well for what this offense is designed to be. I think he's a good player. I wouldn't really view him as sort of a portal impact player. I think he's going to be a bit of an impact player for Texas because they just need him, and they need a guy in this spot. And you went sort of high risk with some of the other spots at tight end, which is a position that Sark is going to use, a position that's going to be important. But, Jordan Washington might end up sort of being that guy. I don't really know because we haven't seen him really step into that spot just yet. Spencer Shannon's been there also, but injuries is a guy that can play and probably going to get a lot of the first opportunities, and you will get 2 tight end sets too. So I just don't know if he's going to be an upgrade over what you had last year, but I do think he'll be a valuable get for Texas.
One would assume. I mean, I put them a little bit in the Oregon category, the Oregon camp, where they're not going to getting a guy. They've recruited well, but they're not going to get a guy unless they know that he can be a potential impact player for them. At least that's the way I assume it. Now, in some spots, you might need just some depth at some spots because you're a little thin. But for all intents and purposes, they're going out and they're adding stars. They're adding guys that can be big difference makers. And they did that last year. You look at the receivers they added last year. You look at the personnel that they added on defense from time to time. They added, a corner last year. They added a safety last year. Like they go out and get guys that can really help them. So I think they're kind of one of those schools where I just trust their evaluation. I trust their process when it comes to the portal.
Okay. We'll run through the rest of this list quickly, and then some folks have some interesting thoughts on what's coming in. Jeremiah Wilson, Florida State, cornerback, coming in from Houston. Do you see him as somebody who's going to impact that Florida State defense?
Haven't seen enough of the tape from Houston, but Houston actually defensively last year had some good moments. So
5'10", 185. He did have 4 interceptions last year, so has been able to make plays. Next in line would be Cam Calhoun at Alabama, coming over from Utah. Redshirt freshman last year, played a lot of good football, contested catches, something that he's been able to battle, 6 feet 177, so he's got good length. Do you expect him to sort of make an impact with this Alabama defense?
I think it'd be great if he can lock down one of the spots. I don't know if he's going to be playing on the outside, but next man up mentality. There were times last year when DeMonte Jackson got a little banged up. You move Mbakwe. So I think that you can always stand to benefit from having a veteran. And this is a guy that's played football at Michigan and Utah. So tell me that. Like, I just tell you, hey, in the past, defensively, he's played at Michigan, he's played at Utah. How do you feel about the likelihood of him being able to help you, at least from just a presence?
Physically, he should be fine.
Correct.
Based on what they've been asked to do in those defenses at that spot, physically it should not be a problem. I'll say that.
100%. That's where I see it.
Dylan Theineman, safety from Purdue going to Oregon. I don't think there's a lot of buzz in the national circles about this young man, but like if you dig a little bit deeper, there is some real buzz about what he can be in this defense. We've seen so many guys from Purdue the last few years go, whether it's been Nick Scorton, whether it's been Deion Burks, and just nobody knows about them because of where they've played. But is he sort of next in line of a guy from Purdue that people didn't watch, didn't know a bunch about because of what the team was, that can be a real impact player going out and playing in this Oregon defense?
I think the thing about Oregon's defense is they rotate so much, and they sometimes play 2-3 deep at a specific spot throughout the course of the game. I think safeties, they put a lot on their safeties. It's not that dissimilar to Georgia's defense where the safeties are asked to do a lot. They're asked to play man. They're asked to play over the top. They're asked to cloud. They're asked to blitz. They're asked to come up and run support. Like, there's a lot that's put on the safeties. And based on his experience, you got to feel decent about it. I just am amazed at how bad Purdue was last year. I mean, do you realize that Purdue gave up in conference play nearly 5 yards per carry?
Yeah, it's not great.
You know what I mean? So it's almost hard to watch that defense and come out of it finding those diamonds in the rough. He was one of them. So I'm optimistic now when he's supported by a better supporting cast, he'll be able to shine a little bit more and won't be having to cover so many guys' bases from time to time.
He had 104 tackles, 4.5 for loss. He did have a sack last year. So he is, you talk about safeties that kind of play that center fielder role, the roamer, so to speak. I think he can be that, a guy that when needs to come down, he's not going to have a problem with it, can get east and west as well. I'm not going to say that he's somebody that you want in man-to-man coverage a ton, but a lot of times, like you said, in that defense and what you're going to be asked to do, he could be a really nice add with some of the versatility that he brings. Broke up 7 passes last year also. So, I mean, he's got a chance to be able to make some plays. So Thieneman, another guy that's there. Last on the list is, and this is PFF's transfer portal guys that maybe need a little more discussion, 10 impact players to know as they review the transfer portal. Texas Tech's entire defensive line. Now, this is something that's gaining a little bit more momentum as we get through summer, closer to fall practice. I don't know if a lot of people understand kind of what they went out and got.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad news for Auburn fans, really, because you've had a couple of those guys on your roster. Lee Hunter from UCF being one. Romello Height from Georgia Tech, USC, Auburn being another. Skylar Gill Howard coming in from Northern Illinois, who was really good in the MAC. You also went and got Houston defensive tackle Anthony Holmes. I mean, they've added a ton up front on their defensive line. I will say that this probably deserves more discussion, Greg, just because of the overall numbers that are being brought in of guys that have played good college football, and not a lot of people in general are even talking about it, and maybe what this is or what this could mean for a Texas Tech team heading into this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think Texas Tech is probably going to be one of the most improved teams in college football this year based on personnel. Just personnel, exclusively based on personnel. Now, will that lead to continuity? Will that lead to chemistry? These are all questions that I think are fair. But I remain super optimistic about some of the additions they've made, the investment they've made at positions that could be imperatively important. If you told me right now, pick a team to win the Big 12, Texas Tech is on the short list of 2 or 3. Like, I would probably actually put Texas Tech slightly above Arizona State, who won it last year, because Arizona State's had a decent amount of turnover at a few key spots as well. Kansas State, I think, has a chance to be really good. TCU, I think, has a chance to be really good. Baylor, I think, has a chance to be really good. There's probably 4 or 5 teams that could legitimately win the Big 12. I think Kansas had a chance to bounce back in a big way. They lost a lot of close games last year. Those things have a tendency to overcorrect the following year. So I think Texas Tech, and part of the reason why I feel good about them, tell me right now that there's a defensive line in the Big 12 that scares you to death. There probably isn't one. Texas Tech has the best chance of being a team like that.
Yeah, Romello Height, 6.5 tackles for loss last year. He'll be your more twitchy, speed, edge guy, somebody that can offer you up, a guy who can legitimately just sort of bend it off the edge, a different style pass rusher. And then you get Skylar Gill Howard, who had 8 tackles for loss last year. He'll be more of your shorter, stockier, east-west defensive tackle that's going to sort of win with quickness. But there's a lot of productivity being brought in at that position. David Bailey from Stanford, another edge defender that's coming in for Texas Tech that could give you a little bit more as a different bodied defensive end that is going to be able to help there. I mean, it's just, you went out and got 4 or 5 guys that can play. And just because they haven't done it in the SEC or the Big Ten doesn't mean they're not going to be impactful or they're not going to be able to come in and help. But just that group for Texas Tech, I think, has to have you in the mix for what they're going to be able to do in the Big 12 compared to maybe what they did a season ago.
Yeah, and last year too, a lot to build on, at times. But yeah, I think there's quite a bit to be able to feel pretty optimistic about with some of the additions that have been made. And honestly too, like, what do you partly is a little schedule based. I mean. It's a little bit difficult sometimes to look at the schedule and make forecasts and projections and all this other stuff. But I do think schedule does have me feeling maybe slightly more optimistic about them.
No, I think schedule's part of that is going to help. But how many times do we talk about, whether it's the SEC, it's the Big Ten, it's the ACC, whoever it is, like, defensive line's not what they used to be. Defensive line doesn't have depth. Defensive line doesn't have playmakers.
Enough.
Texas Tech's gonna have that.
They have them.
I mean, Anthony Holmes will be from Houston. He'll be more of your old school interior defensive tackle, 6'2", 300. He can anchor, and I think he can win one-on-ones, has just enough wiggle to be able to do that. I mean, they have the different body types also. Sometimes we talk about some of these defensive lines like, yeah, they have 4 of the same guy. How much is that going to help you? Or they have 3 edge guys. Is that going to be enough? They have 2 D tackles, but do they have guys that can win with quickness, and can they penetrate and be disruptive? They're going to have all of it. I mean, they're going to have every body type, every skill set up front to be able to be problematic. Now, there's still a lot more that comes with that second and third level of your defense, understanding the scheme of the defense. But as you stated, maybe the biggest upgrade through the portal just from a talent perspective. That could be in Lubbock. And so we'll see how it plays out. But those are just the guys, like the interior guys, the perimeter guys that we're talking about from some of these different teams. I want to talk about teams that this may impact the most, because when you get portal guys in, some of which Kevin Concepcion, Eric Singleton, Mekhi Hughes, not being talked about much at all, that usually leads to teams surprising you. So who might be some of the teams that are going to surprise folks and contend for a national championship? Before we get to that, I want to get to some of your feedback. At Mac and Cube, you can always tweet in there, be a part of the show. 800-239-9569. You want to get in. Transfers not being discussed enough. Maybe national championship contenders that are on the outside looking in. We'll get to those in just a moment. First, Stephen Madrid tweets in, what do you think your personal game athleticism, whatever metric score was back in the day? Well, I'm going to say this. If Eric Singleton's is 99th percentile, I don't even know what the actual score was. Like, do we have that an actual thing for him?
It has to be.
What is the actual number that we're putting next to that? Let's just say he's in the 99th percentile. I think I would be in the 45th percentile.
45?
Somewhere around in there, yeah. Yep. That's where I would go. You?
I would say, because of the position I played, 70s. I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't even know what to put.
Like
I
don't understand. Like it doesn't make sense.
Okay, when we click the link and see if it. PFF announces new PFF game athleticism score. It's called PFF Gas.
Gas.
All right,
Pour
here we
some
go.
kerosene on.
Excited to announce the launch of PFF Gas, developed using player tracking data.
You said gasp?
Gas.
Like GASS?
Just GAS. Derived from computer vision technology, and will give NFL and college teams another edge when making roster decisions. The intention is to provide a new dimension of player evaluation to arm decision makers with as much information as possible. GAF rating is built from various metrics PFF computes for every player on every play, such as speed, acceleration, change of direction. To compute an athleticism score, PFF aggregates the play level metrics and scores them via each metric season over season, stability by position. They keep setting up what it is, but they never tell you exactly what it is. To account for the fact it's easier for smaller players to move more quickly, players' athleticism is adjusted based on their height and weight. After putting finishing touches on PFF Gas model, PFF began to explore the final outputs and have come across some promising early findings. Blah, blah. Positional insights. Here you go. Here's some NFL players that scored in the 99th percentile at wide receiver. Malik Neighbors.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And then other ones in college who did the last few years. 99th would be A.D. Mitchell, Texas. Xavier Worthy, Texas. Xavier Legette, South Carolina, which that's actually really impressive based on his size. Roma Dunze was the 98th at Washington. Marv Jr., 96 at Ohio State. Malachi Corley, Western Kentucky, was 81st. Emeka Egbuka, 93rd for Ohio State.
These are rankings, or that's their actual number?
No, this is their percentile in PFF Gas, Greg. Get it straight.
So is he 93rd percentile?
Don't know.
Gotcha.
Still don't know what the actual scores are for any of these.
I don't get it.
Sam Laporta, 99th percentile for tight ends.
I don't get it, but I like it.
Puka Nacua, 99th percentile for receivers. So now you understand it, right? Makes perfect sense?
Much better now.
Yeah.
I was concerned until you said Puka Nacua. Now I get it.
This is what we were thinking. A couple more of you guys are chiming in on this.
Most confusing metric you've ever seen?
Their missed tackle rate might be, or drop ball success rate, catchable ball rate. They have a lot of them. They have a lot of BS metrics that I don't think make any sense. So,
but that one takes the cake because it really does. I really don't get it
because it's just change of direction and speed. But how you put it together, how do you measure change of direction? Like, when do you definitively say you are heading one way and then are finally heading a different way? And then when do you start it if you're going east and then all of a sudden you're going west?
Yeah.
Is it 2 seconds going east? Is it half a second going east? And then is it a whole second going west? It's nonsensical.
Well, what if it's south-southeast?
You're probably getting up there in the 50th percentile at least. There is one other listener that has a real problem with how I have been discussing a certain team lately. We'll let you hear what he has to say next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Glad you're with us. It is Monday, June 16th, right here on Jox 94.5, 8:25 a.m. And we're talking portal players, national championship contenders, maybe some national championship contenders that we're not getting enough discussion with, don't have enough run just yet. And we're getting to some of your feedback as well. MD wants to chime in. At Mac and Cube, best place for you to do it. He says, it would not surprise me if PFF arranged a moonlighting deal with the physicists, scientists, and computer engineers at Redstone to use AI to come up with this BS model. Had to have something to compete with the Rubik's Cubelic. I agree.
I mean, it makes sense.
I agree wholeheartedly.
That's it. It makes perfect sense, except the Rubik's Cubelic is more team-oriented as opposed to individual.
Well,
no.
I guess that would be one aspect of how you did it and what was a part of it. But either way, the I don't know how I feel about this metric or whatever it's going to be called. There were some other folks chiming in, GMAC, that I wanted to get to quickly. Like I said, at Mac and Cube, you can tweet into the show. Greg Skipworth tweets in Isaiah Horton, Alabama. Are we spending enough time discussing him?
No, I think he's going to have a big year. I'm very optimistic.
Let me ask you a serious question. Can he have a big year?
Yes.
Based on the other receivers on his roster?
Yes, he can, because he's going to play a position that just on volume alone, he's going to get a lot of looks. And they just so desperately needed a big body wide receiver. They didn't have one last year.
Okay.
Like, I mean, who last year in a, gotta have it situation in the red zone, who were you targeting? And Ryan Williams was your guy, but I love Ryan Williams. His strength at this point of his development, or at least in the 2024 season, his strength was not to go and just body a 6'1", 200-pound corner. That wasn't going to be a good matchup for him. Now, he could twist his body and had great flexibility, great ball control, great body control, like all that stuff. He had all of that. But if it became a absolute war zone within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage because a guy gets hands on him, that wasn't going to be a great matchup for him. So now, if you have very few teams have big body corners, big body physical corners, very few teams have two of them. Now, hey, guess what? That big body corner, he's now probably going to have to be over there on the big body receiver, which means Ryan Williams is going to have more favorable matchups in the physical tough yardage situations. So I think that's great. I think he's going to be super impactful. Even if his numbers don't reflect his impact, him being out there is going to be massive for the rest of the offense.
All right, so also tweeting into the show is Kid Bama Kid, at Kid Bama Kid, who tweets in, at Mac and Cube, why does Cole keep bragging on Auburn just to be disappointed again when they go 6-6 this year? Auburn at best is 8-4 team, never to make the playoff unless they expand to 32.
I don't know, Cole. Why don't you help us understand? Why don't you tell us? Walk me through it.
That'd be about as easy to walk you through as game athleticism score metric. That would be me bragging on Auburn. So stating statistical facts on players transferring into Auburn equals bragging on Auburn? Is that what we're doing now? That's what it was?
Yes.
Got it. So I also bragged on Texas A&M.
Texas Tech. No, you have been a big Texas Tech guy.
I also bragged on Oregon. I also
Oregon
bragged
guy.
on UCLA.
Huge UCLA guy.
I also bragged on Miami.
I'm telling you, you are a homer for 19 different schools.
Bragged on Texas. Bragged on Alabama with Cam Calhoun.
No. I didn't hear that one.
Didn't count.
No, it doesn't count.
Bragged on Florida State with Jeremiah Wilson. And bragged on Oregon twice, I guess, with Dylan Thieneman. We talked about him as well.
Yep.
How am I bragging on Auburn?
Because you said they had 99.
99th percentile, Greg. Okay? And it's the game athleticism score metric. If you don't believe in that, what do you believe in as it pertains to football? I don't know. I can't help you there.
You know what you are? You're just a big old Auburn homer.
That's it. I brought that whole list up just so I could say Auburn has a chance to go 8-4 this year.
I think, now that it makes sense, I'm walking myself through it. This all checks out.
All of it.
It's almost like you went to Auburn. And it's almost like we need to talk about Auburn on our show that's in Birmingham, Alabama. It's almost like that's an important part of our conversation.
That's debatable.
If you want to listen to Tide Talk, there's plenty of options for you, but we do acknowledge a lot of teams here. And while I am supportive of the Tide, I can also acknowledge that Auburn has made significant improvements this year by way of the portal. It's amazing how that happens, where you can be loyal to a team and want that team to win the national championship every year, while still acknowledging that, some of the other teams that play in the SEC actually might have a chance. It's freaking crazy.
Why don't I mean,
I honestly,
I also think
way I think about
A&M is going to go to the college football playoff?
I honestly, I think the way, Timmy Tide texted into the show.
It's Kid Bama Kid.
Timmy Tweet Tide. I think Auburn should just not show up next year. Just don't show up. Don't even play the games.
Actually, they shouldn't show up until they expand the playoff to 32 teams.
You know what? It's well said.
Just stay.
Don't even show up.
Stay out of it.
Don't even show up.
No reason for it.
Why try? Why get better? If you're never going to be good, why get better?
I don't think we should talk about them anymore. You know what? We shouldn't brag on them anymore is what we should do.
You know what we should do for Tide, Tweet Tide?
Kid, Bama Kid.
Whatever. For him, let's do a show. Do the Mount Rushmore of Alabama players at every position. Or we'll rank the 37 best Tide left guards of all time.
Who's number one?
Left guard?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's tough. Especially when you consider we now have access to game athleticism metric scores.
What's John Hanna's? Walk me through it.
I need to see John Hanna change direction first before I decide if he's the best offensive lineman in Alabama history.
Yes. I refuse to put any list together that does not include
until I see
Anthony
Dwight
Steen.
Stevenson's change of direction metric score. Yes. I don't know if he's the best center in school history.
No. I mean, when I watched the Cowboys, I thought Larry Allen was good, but I probably need to know what his metric score is.
I got to see his acceleration. Then we can decide.
Until then, it's up for debate as to whether or not he really truly belongs in the Hall of Fame.
It's debatable. It really is. All right, so
because watching guys just move people off the spot,
that's not what it's about.
That's not an indicator of success.
Correct.
It's not an indicator of being good.
Start and stop time is what it is for guards and tackles.
That's yes. Unless you are going to the combine and running sub 5'1", I don't think you can play. Honestly, best left guard Saban era, just to give Tide Tweet Kid a bone. Throw him a bone.
Was Warmack left guard or right guard?
Warmack was right guard.
Booker left guard?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll probably go Booker.
Booker won?
I mean, I might go Booker, but it's the best guard, period, of the Saban era.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you putting ahead of him?
He ain't in the Saban era.
Well, kind of was.
No.
Yeah.
He's a DeBoer.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault Saban retired. I mean, he was still there in that era. I would go, if we're going best offensive line of the Saban era.
Like talent, if we're going just on talent alone, Warmack's number one. Talent.
I'm going with actual play.
No, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We're talking about the game accelerated metric of scoring.
I would probably go, and this is off the top of my head, so this could easily change.
Oh, God.
I would probably go Jonah, Booker, Kelly.
Jonah at left tackle?
I'm going game ability. Right guard. I know Jedrick is going to be right tackle.
Yes, that's a lock.
Right guard, I got to think about it a little bit. Who would I put in there at right guard? Man, Can I just bump Dickerson to right guard and have him play there?
Yes, I'll allow it. So I think he could probably have played
We'll roll
guard.
with that. He could definitely play guard. Playing
Plays
guard
it
in the
now.
NFL. I think he can handle it. That's where I would go.
All right, I think that. All right, so you go.
I think you might move some people there.
So all right, so
But
guard to guard, you go Booker, Kelly, Dickerson.
Yes.
All right, no Warmack.
He would be in the discussion at the opposite right guard if I couldn't move Dickerson over there. Yeah.
All right, right tackle Jedrick Wills.
Yes.
No Fluker.
Jedrick Wills.
Okay. Left tackle, you're going Jonah.
I think technically, fundamentally, as a college player, he was ahead of the other guys.
He's
You're going to put.
very fundamentally
You put
sound.
Cam there.
Probably.
It's fair. I thought his last year he had a lot more letdowns than Jonah did, and I realized that Jonah physically was not as capable. Like he wasn't as much of the glass eater, but I don't really think that's his fault.
Well, I want War Daddies though. Like I want my O line to be just flat, straight War Daddy.
Okay, well then who you taking? James Carpenter at left tackle? Like who?
No, I love James, but he wouldn't be ahead of Cam.
Okay, so who do you want at left tackle then?
Cam.
Okay, I'll take Jonah.
All right.
I don't think either one of us are losing a lot.
I think we can run the ball.
We're gonna be okay. Probably throw it too. I think we'll be fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's a good group.
All right, there you go, Kid Bama tweet.
Best tight end in a Saban era. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that.
OJ Howard.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, let's roll some of these portal movements into some teams that maybe could surprise folks and win a national championship. You will not be surprised with what you get at Game Day Men's Health, though. If you are feeling on edge, lacking energy, lacking sleep, they can help. If you just want to lose weight, they can help. Maybe it's skincare, maybe anti-aging. The peptides are in stock now to be able to help you with that. Your body stops producing peptides over time. And these concoctions and mixtures that Game Day Men's Health have can help you. And they'll design them just for you as well. This is all very easy. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com, sign up for a free consultation. You get a free PSA test, free testosterone test. Then you roll in and they let you know what they can do for you, different ways that they can help. Great people, low stress, locker room environment. They're not going to try to push you into things that you don't need. They're just going to present options. And by the way, you can save 10% on any of those options when you go into Game Day Men's Health by mentioning Mac and Cube in the morning. That no charge consultation comes with the no charge testosterone test and PSA test. So right off the bat, you're getting started for free. And then on top of that, minimal upfront cost for the programs they offer. Just go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up. Why not? See what they can do for you at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Teams that could surprise and potentially win a national championship. We'll discuss those next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 8:41, Monday, June 16th, right here on Jox 94.5. Watch live on YouTube each and every day. Search Jox 945. Easy way to tune in. So if we flip this page and take transfer portal players that look like they're going to have an impact, and then roll that into maybe how some of those could help some teams go win a national championship this year, but these will be teams that maybe folks are not expecting to go win a national championship. So I also came across this one this morning, and that was 5 college football sleepers that could contend for a national championship. Blake Toppmeyer is tweeting this one out from the USA Today network. Let me just ask you this first. If I said, give me a sleeper or 2 or 5 that you view right now could go win a national championship. So this would be teams that not a lot of people mentioning, not a lot of people talking about. I think one that we actually just talked about may come up for some people, and that might be Texas Tech. Now, there's a lot of other things that have to be answered, but I think getting to the playoff would be a fair discussion for Texas Tech. Winning it, yeah.
It's a great possibility they can get there. I think winning it's a different level.
I mean, is there a real sleeper team out there for you to go win a national championship?
How far down the list are we considering sleepers?
I'm talking like teams that people are probably not
high enough on.
If you're a sleeper for
how many times are you gonna do it?
I'm wanting people to think that John was actually dropping the audio in, but I can't keep doing it. I'm sorry. But if you're a sleeper for a national title, then there's hardly anybody referencing you as being that, correct? Like you're past long shot. So I'll give you the 5 teams. Let's go. Here we go.
Well, hang on. Let me try to guess.
All
right, Texas Tech.
I don't believe is one of the teams. No.
All right. Do they include Miami?
No.
Do they include?
No, I think Miami would be considered maybe an actual contender. Because there's 2 of these that I think make a ton of sense. And then there's the others are legit long shots. One is a team we've actually talked a lot about, but we have not talked about them as a potential national championship contender.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of like what others would be out there. What about Washington?
No.
What about Kansas State?
No.
I got nothing.
Okay. The number 1 national championship sleeper is LSU.
How are they a sleeper?
20-1, Greg.
That's not a sleeper.
I'm with you.
You can't count LSU as a sleeper. They're LSU. They won how many games last year?
That still leaves a handful of teams that intrigue me as national championship long shots. How do I define a long shot? Their odds are worse than 12-1.
Stand by. Hang on.
How many teams are less than 12-1? I would say. All right, so LSU number 1. I think you and I are going to agree that.
Hang on a second. So 12-1 is the cutoff, right? That's the cutoff.
Yes, but I also don't know what entity he's using from a gambling perspective.
Okay, right now in the NFL, I know that it's a little different. The favorites are the Buffalo Bills at 7-1.
We know they can't do it. So.
There are 5 teams that have better than 12-1. So that means that anyone beyond those top 5 teams would be considered a sleeper in the NFL, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's look up college football. National championship odds. Okay. Favorites in college football. Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Penn State. Right now, okay, this is great. Right now, there are 6 teams that are currently sitting at better than 12-1.
12-1 would be plus 1,200, correct?
Correct. There are 6 teams. Bama, Oregon, Penn State, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas.
Yeah.
6.
I was trying to see even across different sites if you could get different odds, and I can't find any more than that.
That means that Clemson, Notre Dame, LSU, Ole Miss.
Yeah, I got Notre Dame at plus 1,400 at a couple places, but we'll still round them in.
All right. Okay, LSU.
At I'll say at Vegas Insider, you can get a little bit more than that. Right now,
LSU
you
not
can
a
get-
sleeper. Sorry.
You can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can get 8. Clemson, Bama, Notre Dame, Oregon, Penn State, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State. They have LSU at plus 1,900 right now. So nonetheless, you and I don't agree that LSU would be a sleeper.
Not a sleeper.
No, I think outside shot, not sleeper. Well, the next one's really going to make you mad.
Oh God.
Clemson.
Oh my God.
Honestly, right this second, if I said, give me the number of teams, if you were forced to wager on picking a national champion right now, that you would have above Clemson.
Penn State.
Like you had to wager on it.
Penn State, Georgia, Texas.
I might have Clemson above 2 of those.
Who? Penn State and Georgia?
I'm not sure I have many teams clearly ahead of Clemson's chances of winning a national title this year. Like you could make a case for Penn State. I don't think I would have Georgia. Well, I'm just saying I don't think I have Georgia ahead of them because we're not talking about Clemson winning the SEC. We're talking about Clemson getting to the playoff and then winning.
Yeah, but Georgia's from the SEC.
Is Ohio State?
Yeah.
Felt like they won it last year.
But they're an SEC team in the Big Ten country. That's,
All right, next in line, Michigan. 22-1. I'll say this. If you really think they can do it, then I'll give you sleeper. Yeah, because I don't think they can do it. That's just me.
I mean, good sleeper, though.
But yeah, if you can make the case for them, then go ahead. Which leaves 2 other teams. Go ahead with Michigan.
Michigan, just a reminder, only 2 true freshmen have ever started and won a national championship. Ever. In the history of the world. Even when they were playing football back in the 1700s. Only 2 ever.
But you also forget they brought in Mikey Keene from Fresno. So might not need him.
I hope that Mikey Keene balls. But I'll see you on week 1, Bryce Underwood.
Okay. We'll see how that goes. A couple other teams that are allegedly in the mix here. We'll discuss those next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, talking national championship sleepers. Who would be on your list? Would you qualify LSU as a national championship sleeper?
LSU is never a sleeper in my eyes. Seriously.
Clemson. Michigan. Michigan this year, I would say, can we say sleeper though? Surprised, yes. Like sleeper, I feel like you got to be coming out of nowhere. Next in line at 25-1, Greg, Blake Toppenmeyer has your Ole Miss Rebels or Black Bears or
Now,
Land Sharks.
That would be a good one because I do think people are sleeping on them, especially given what they lost off of last year. I don't think they can do it.
Yeah, that would be a team that I don't think a lot of people truly believe has a chance to go win a national title this year.
Correct.
A completely rebuilt defensive line, a new quarterback after a quarterback who had an amazing career, multiple productive wide receivers, a couple offensive linemen who still didn't play great, going to be gone. So it's got to be better, right? And then you got a couple transfer receivers that have been successful other places like Penn State, Oklahoma State, etc. So I would be more than surprised if Ole Miss won a national title. I'd be okay labeling them a sleeper national championship
100%
this year. And then finally, Oklahoma, which at 66-1 absolutely should qualify. And even though you and I spent a lot of time talking about Oklahoma and what they can be, could be this year, John Mateer, Jaden Ott, getting a couple of other guys healthy, Ben Arbuckle coming in as offensive coordinator, we haven't gone sleeper national championship. We haven't gone outside shot at a national title. We've just gone maybe most improved in the SEC or being a team that would surprise folks the most in the Southeastern Conference, maybe even on the brink of making the playoff. We haven't really gone winning a title yet. I think a lot would have to happen there. Yes. Number one, you got to stay healthy, receiver, offensive line primarily. The pieces are going to have to fit together, continuity, chemistry. The offensive line is going to be a lot better than it was last year. And you still have some pieces that are gone. It's a lot of leadership gone from that team last year. Somebody's got to fill that void pretty quickly. And that's going to have to be something that you don't know if it's going to be there or not. You don't know what it's going to look like. So I'd have a hard time saying Oklahoma national title. I do understand where he's going. Even from a John Mateer perspective, the quarterback transferring in from Washington State, he's got to become more consistent. He's a risk taker at times. I mean, he's a guy that thinks he can do just about anything on the football field. That's going to have to go down because, as we know, he's probably going to play in more close games this year than he did last year. And you do that against some of these teams that are on Oklahoma's schedule, it's going to be the difference in not losing or not winning by 14 or 21 as opposed to actually losing that game. That part's got to be a little different for him, in my opinion.
I think that there will be times this year where there'll be a bit of a wake-up call, a bit of a welcome to the SEC moment, but I do think that Oklahoma is a really good choice if you want a crazy good long shot. Because what's the ultimate neutralizer? Seriously, the ultimate neutralizer, if there is a talent gap and or if there's a team gap or whatever it may be, is elite quarterback play. And John Mateer has elite tools.
Do you fall in there are a lot of people that are now beginning to say Mateer was much better in wins than losses. Are you?
Yeah, that usually is the case.
He was actually pretty good in their losses. 26 of 37, 327, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick against Boise. 375 on 25 of 36, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions against New Mexico. I mean, I don't even know if that works. Running through some long shots for national championships in college football. If you have one you want to get in, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. You can tweet those in at Mac and Cube. Text those into the show, 205-834-9450. Tell our friends about the cottages at Smith Lake.
Well, now is the time. If you've been thinking about, hey, we really want to get lakeside. We want to raise our family at the lake. We want to go to the lake. We want to enjoy the lake. Now is a great opportunity because the cottages at Smith Lake is set to have their grand opening on Saturday. It's June 21st. This is absolutely beautiful and pristine. You can learn a lot by going to thecottagesatsmith.com. Go and check out their grand opening on Saturday. That's June 21st. This is on the west side of Smith Lake. It's beautiful, it's tranquil, it's relaxing, it's amazing, and they have secured 50 acres of beautiful woodlands with secured gate access. You'll enjoy community amenities like a boat ramp, community docks, walking trails, lakefront picnic area, saltwater pool, all walkable and golf cart friendly. There's 120 home sites that are available. And what's neat is it's a tiny home community. So if you're thinking about, hey, we can't manage the lake house, it's too difficult to manage the lake house, this is about as easy as it gets. And all of these unique custom cottage models are perfect, and they are customizable. You can adjust them, you can do some different things for them, and it'll allow for you to have exactly the lake life experience you've been looking for. Like, I raise my kids at the lake. We go to the lake all the time. We absolutely love it. I know you will as well. So take advantage of this tremendous opportunity on Saturday by calling 256-747-7459, or you can go online to thecottagesatsmith.com.
All right, so we mentioned some teams that could be outside contenders for a national championship this year, and we went through sort of Michigan, we went through Oklahoma, Clemson, LSU. We're not really on board with a lot of those. As you pulled those odds up and began to look down, what was there one with maybe bigger odds, longer odds to go win a national title that you would like right now? Like Alabama plus 900 wouldn't really fall into that category. But they're going to be considered one of the favorites, as would Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Penn State, Oregon, Notre Dame. Clemson, LSU would be out. Michigan would come in a little bit further down. Miami at plus 3,500. Not even a long shot that you would like. I mean, Louisville plus 7,500.
I just have a very hard time seeing. I think Miami is about the best chance you can get outside of Clemson to go and win out of the ACC. Like, I love Louisville, but I just don't know if they have the horses to go win 4 in a row.
Arizona State plus 100,000.
No. Their schedule's harder today than it was last year. It's going to be hard.
Okay. All right. So nobody else down. Texas Tech, Utah, Iowa State. How good can Iowa State be this year?
I think Iowa State can be good. I think they can be a playoff contender. I don't think they can win it.
That's the difference that we need to talk about now, because there was a long time it's could you get to that game and win it? And then it was could you go win 2 of those games? Now it's a totally different conversation. Health becomes of the utmost importance. You know, how you're playing at that time for multiple weeks becomes of the biggest importance. And then maybe being able to play, somewhere difficult on the road and being able to manage that part of it is also going to be big. It feels like there are so many more aspects of getting to the postseason and being successful now than it did or has maybe ever in college football. And I don't know how you look at teams that are on that outside looking in and feel better about them. It's harder to take a South Carolina or a USC and feel even better about them because of everything else that's going to go into it. And some of those really outside of your control, Greg.
I think it's really hard to envision a scenario where, you go and win several games in a row if you don't have great depth. I think it's really hard to assume you can win it without star players. And look, can it happen? Sure, of course it can. But I still think that right now it's harder than ever to win a national championship. Like, I know that people think, well, I don't understand. You can lose 3 games and still win a natty. Yeah, that's true. That is all accurate. But the likelihood of you winning 4 in a row is pretty dang hard to envision if you've lost a quarter of your regular season games.
Right.
So I think you have to be great. I mean, great to win it now. Back in the day, you had to win just one game. Now you got to win 3 or 4. That to me makes it so much harder.
All right. So speaking of odds, I did want to give you a chance to discuss this. 150 to 1 for JJ Spawn to win the 125th U.S. Open. And he had a putt on 18 lined up to win it. This is how it sounded.
Want to cozy it up. Don't need to make it. 2 putts. How about 1?
64.5 feet for birdie. Longest putt at the tournament made the entire weekend, G-Mac, and he gets his first major. Only player under par for the tournament. The crazy part was really and truly, or not the odds, or not even that putt, was that he bogeyed 5 of his first 6 holes in his round yesterday, birdied 4 of the last 7. His front 9 score of 40 was the highest for a U.S. Open winner there since 1913. Some of the things in which he battled back from just yesterday were uncanny, and JJ Spawn gets the U.S. Open win. Pretty cool the way that he did it yesterday.
Really cool. Just an absolute war. I mean, and Oakmont continues to prove that if it's not the best, it is one of the best championship venues that you'll find within the U.S. Open PGA Tour, U.S. Open PGA Championship rotation. It just always delivers drama. It's a tight field. You got to make putts. You got to make great shots. You got to make good decisions. I mean, every single hole is a possible blow-up hole, and it really proved last week to be just a tremendous venue. Really a lot of fun to watch. I could not have been happier for JJ Spawn. A lot of people listening to this show probably haven't heard of JJ Spawn. But earlier in the year, he was in a playoff against Rory at the Players' Championship. And on 17, he made like a 7. Hit in the water. It's a disaster. Rory beat him on a Monday playoff by 1 million. To the point where JJ, I don't even know if he finished the 18th hole in the 3-hole playoff. It was that one-sided. All things considered, though, he learned from that mistake. And to start the day 5 over through 6, and the one par you had wasn't a great one, pretty amazing to see him down the stretch make about 150 feet of putts on the back 9, including one 65-footer, one 40-plus footer, and one 22-footer. Really, really remarkable. So credit to him. Credit to him just being mentally tough and just kind of hanging in there, and kind of responding the way he did after the rain delay. Just really, really happy for that guy.
Those 6 bogeys, the most in a final round by any U.S. Open champion over the last 20 years, also matched the most bogeys in the final round of a win in all majors over that span. Koepka did it in the 2019 PGA Championship. Mickelson did it in the 2021 PGA Championship. So really an impressive round for a lot of different reasons. The 64.5-foot walk-off putt, basically, but also being 150 to 1 odds, and then having all those bogeys early in your round in the final round and being able to come back, find a way to win it. Pretty cool that he was able to pull that off. So just wanted to give you an opportunity to hit on that.
Anybody that's ever played golf can align. Like, put it this way: the place I play the most here in Birmingham, the first 6 holes are the worst. Literally the hardest 6 holes. It's just brutal. Your teeth are kicked in. And like my goal, like when I get to 7T, is like, man, I hope so badly I'm like 3 over or better. Like, you know what I mean? I just want to survive these first 6 holes. Well, in the event in which through the first 6 holes I'm 5 over, I literally want to just get in my car and go home, because ironically the 5th tee is right next to the parking lot, and I have walked off the green with like a 4 over start on 5, and just been like, it's just not my day. I can't handle this. I'm leaving. to have to sit there and quite literally, no pun intended, weather the storm. And anyone that's listened to this playing golf, like knowing that you're a third of your way through the round and you are staring at, man, I hope I don't shoot 80 today. 85. And we see some guys, the other guys that are, shot 89 on the golf course. And that was within reason for JJ Spawn 5 holes in. Man, to just anchor down and let the putter get hot down the stretch was amazing. So just credit to him. Just an incredible way of kind of hanging in there and just bouncing back.
Another team that hasn't really had to bounce back, but will be in action today. We mentioned a little bit of the College World Series earlier with Mike Monaco, who joined the show. Murray State, Arkansas elimination game today. UCLA and LSU go tonight at 6. But I think Coastal's kind of been the story so far of this College World Series. And they were able to knock off Arizona on Friday, knocked off Oregon State yesterday. 25 straight wins, GMAC, for this Coastal Carolina team. Third longest streak in Division I over the last 5 seasons. Their 55th win of the season. That matches a program record set in 2010. And that was also matched during the national championship run in 2016. They have found different ways. They've had to battle back a little bit. They've found great pitching so far. But would you agree that right now, where we stand in this year's College World Series, because of what they did coming in, also Coastal, kind of the story of this men's College World Series?
Yeah, it's like they're so similar to when they won it back in 2017. They can beat you in a bunch of different ways. That 2017 team, they could hit the ball hard, and I think they hit 1 million home runs that year. So I think this Coastal team is just so similar, and it's so different. The game is, at least with this field, that it's kind of about who's playing well now where they're at. And they are just as hot as can be, 1 win away or 2 wins away. Or no, they're 1 win away from the championship series.
1 win from the finals, yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing. So, but it's not a surprise. I think everyone that continues to consider them a, quote, Cinderella, they're far from a Cinderella. They're one of the best teams and programs in college baseball. But to be doing what they're doing right now, going to Auburn, winning the Supers, not losing a game since April 10th, there's just so much momentum on their side.
Jacob Morrison was great on the mound for the Shants after they got 3 runs in the first, would not need any more. He retired 16 straight batters through 8 innings. Third longest streak in a men's College World Series game since they moved to Charles Schwab Field in 2011. Michael Roth of South Carolina went 22 straight, and that was against Kent State. And Kevin Abel for Oregon State went 20 straight batters in the 2018 championship game. So, you look at what Skeens did in his last year at LSU. He went 12 starts, going 6 innings or more, giving up 1 or fewer runs. Morrison this year has done that 10 times. So they've got guys on the hill that can get it done. They obviously can hit the ball, as you mentioned. They've been able to get it done there. So I think the story so far in Omaha. Now, LSU is still LSU, and they're going to be tough to knock off. But what Coastal has done coming in and what they continue to do, it's just a cool story. And I know it's pretty sweet to see what they've done. We talked a lot of college football earlier in the show. I want to talk some actual live football that took place over the weekend. You'll have to wait on that. We'll move to it on the other side. But if you're going to move out of your home, Greg, who should you call?
That'd be Crocker Movie Service, a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movies you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home, and there's your whole home packed up and move. Your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. These guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's CrockerMovieServices.com. That's CrockerMovieServices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Movie Services for your next move.
All right, when we come back, UFL championship game, how it went down, what you need to know next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 9:18 right here on Jox 94.5. Talking maybe long shot national title contenders, who we feel like may show up there, who we feel like might not show up there, and a lot of different folks that, you can say could be there, long shot. And then based on the numbers, some people might rule some as long shots, but don't really have them there. Royal Payne tweets in, the problem in the current playoff model is sleepers. I can see, for example, a team like Kansas State getting hot and going unbeaten, but can you really see them going all the way through the playoffs? I think it's a perfect example of what we were discussing. Is it might look like you can get there, and we might label you as a long. Oklahoma was a team that we talked about there. Texas Tech was a team that we talked about there. Maybe a long shot to make the playoff, but a lot's going to have to happen if you're going to win those games now with an extended playoff, GMAC.
It's a lot has to happen. You got to stay healthy. You got to have depth. You got to have a superstar player in some cases that goes and takes over. I mean, we think about Jeremiah Smith last year at Ohio State and just took over the playoffs. We've seen in cases in the past where a quarterback elevates everyone else around him, a la Cam Newton. I mean, there are ways to get there, but it's harder now. Like, do you think, honestly, with the depth that Auburn had in 2010, for example, do you think that Auburn team could have won 4 straight in a playoff situation? Maybe.
The only reason would have been Cam Newton.
Exactly.
And Nick Fairley, if those two just take over.
But Cam tweaks an ankle.
No,
you know what I mean? It's like it's just
not.
harder to do it now. It's just I think it's a much more difficult path.
And I look at it from the other side of that too. Like you're saying, if to win some of those games, you're probably going to need something like that to happen to the other team. There's going to have to be a guy go down, like what Royal Payne is mentioning. Let's say Kansas State, for example, this year, 2 years from now, whatever. A team like that, like Iowa State this year, if they're going to win a national title, they're probably going to have a team in front of them, one or two, lose a receiver, lose a left tackle, lose a quarterback, even for a quarter or 2 series to give them some kind of an advantage. It's just being able to run straight through that. It seems almost impossible for some of those teams that we've been discussing.
100%. I think it's very, very difficult now. I think it's harder now than ever. And I think those teams that are made up and comprised of 1 or 2 star players are going to fall by the wayside. I think it's going to require tremendous depth, and I think it's going to require some luck. You got to stay healthy, and you got to have great guys, a bunch of different guys that can step up at certain points. That's what Ohio State had last year. Now, Jeremiah Smith took things over for sure, but Will Howard was phenomenal in the playoffs. The defensive line was phenomenal in the playoffs. The linebackers played their tails off in the playoffs. No, they were in a really good spot. I mean, they're a really, really good spot throughout and I think a little bit has to do with the path. Like Penn State had to play 2 teams that were pretty dang manageable in the first 2 rounds. With all due respect to SMU, with all due respect to Boise, pretty manageable path. And they had full control of the Notre Dame game, and things kind of slipped away. Now, does Penn State match up better with Ohio State than Notre Dame? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But had they just somehow held on and not given up that field goal at the end of half, and they end up winning the game, and Drew Aller doesn't throw on the back hip to a running back, and doesn't throw a pick there with 2 minutes to go to allow for Notre Dame to go and get it, then it's a completely different conversation. So it's just hard. It's hard to win it now. You got to be really well-rounded as a team.
Well, and I think that's one thing that people would say about the DC defenders. We've seen them be great on offense at times. We've seen that defense be problematic at times. However, for Shannon Harris to take over this team less than 2 weeks before their first game, for Greg Williams to have to stepping out, leaving as defensive coordinator, and you have to fill that void. Your offensive line coach last year leaving, you have to fill that void. A lot happened within this team over the course of the season. And they were in the UFFL championship game against the Michigan Panthers, who honestly looked like the better team coming in. And it started like this for Jordan Teamu and company right out of the gate.
Tamu goes to the end zone. Touchdown, DC. Jaden Mickens.
Teamu and company would continue to keep pouring it on offensively later in the game.
But now 387 yards
for Tom, who is the best passing game anybody's ever had in the UFL. And he's adding to it to Briley Moore.
So Jordan Te'amu would end up having the best game as a passer in UFL history. He was 20 of 27, 388 passing yards. That's the most in a game in UFL history. 4 passing touchdowns, tied for most in a game in UFL history. He would also run 8 times for 29 yards, add a rushing touchdown. He was the UFL championship game MVP. And we talked to him on Friday, Greg, and it's just cool to see him sort of have this moment. And we had DC in game 1 this year, and his offense coordinator, Frank Kais, just told us point blank, he's like, the guy needs to be in the league. He's like, I'm not saying he needs to be a starter, but he deserves to be on a roster. He does that many things well. He handles his business the way that he should. And obviously with all the turnover, all the change that we mentioned for him to lead this team to a title, keep in mind, they lost their last 2 games going into the postseason and did not look like maybe the better team heading into the postseason. And they go get a UFL championship. Pretty cool that Jordan Te'amu and company able to pull that off.
Well, it's funny because 2-3 years ago when they were in the title against Arlington, they were the best team pretty much from start to finish that year in the XFL. The defenders, if really looking outside of the Birmingham Stallions, the defenders, when looking at spring football, have probably collectively been the best outside of Birmingham, whether it's in the XFL or in the newly founded UFL, probably been the most steady. And granted, have probably had the least amount of turnover as well. So I think with Ta'amu and company, they've been rock solid for a while now. And they've had good continuity with quarterback coordinator, and all of that's been helpful. And they've had different kind of approaches. I mean, for a little while there, they were a ground and pound outfit. You know, Abe Smith and company. And then they became a little bit more pass happy. They had great weapons. They had all this other stuff. So it's they were kind of overdue to break through and actually win a title. And I'm glad that they were able to do so on Saturday afternoon.
I thought Luganville had a great interview with Coach Kais at halftime, coming out basically saying, I'm playing this thing like we're down 14 points. We're not, this is not going to be ground and pound. This is not going to be run the clock. This is not going to be, go out there and just try to see if we can hang on to win. He's like, we got to keep our foot on the gas. 58 points is the most in a UFL game in league history. 573 total yards is the most in a game in UFL history. DC scored on all 10 drives, 8 touchdowns, 2 field goals, excluding the final drive, which if you wanted to count that was just basically running the clock to end the game. Just an impressive performance by Shannon Harris, the interim head coach, to be able to go get this. Jaden Mickens had 6 catches, 132 yards, and a touchdown. Those were all career highs for him. Now, Michigan put up good numbers too. Now, keep in mind, they scored 34 in this game. So, they went out and they were pretty good at a lot of points in this game. They ran 19 consecutive plays in the fourth after they trailed 52-19 and cut that deficit to 52-34. 34 points is the most in a UFL loss ever. So they actually put up good numbers. Bryce Perkins, who we talked to also on Friday, 21 of 33, 338 yards, 4 touchdowns. Did have 1 interception right before the half, which was kind of a bad pick. It was forced that ball, overthrew it a little bit, and was not a good play. But, Michigan, you got to give them credit for battling back, GMAC, because this was one that felt like DC could have just walked away from.
They almost scored 40. What do you want to say? It's the defense. They got gashed. And that's a group that's been pretty good. You followed the league very, very closely. How good has that defense been, especially in the front, throughout most of the last 2 years? Well, didn't materialize. It wasn't impactful. Was not effective whatsoever. And look, you can look at the pick and you can look at some of the other circumstances, sure, but at the end of the day, the defense didn't do what they needed to do to give themselves a chance.
No. And if you watch this game, just before halftime was completely bananas. This game was off its rocker right before the half. You had a 2nd and 1 on the 5 in which Michigan would convert for a touchdown. They would convert the 2-point conversion, and then literally 2 plays later, Malik Turner catches a Bryce Perkins pass for a 71-yard touchdown. A couple of plays after that, Te'amu would go deep down the left side for a 73-yard touchdown. And this is all within 4 minutes left in the half. So the back and forth nature of it, I think, had a lot of people dialed in and a lot of people intrigued. But DC would go on for a dominant win, and they will be your UFL champions. Te'amu, the league MVP, and we heard him reference it multiple times inside the game, that not just he, but his teammates were upset that he wasn't the league MVP, thought that he should have been that. And obviously they were playing against the league MVP and Bryce Perkins, but just an extra motivating factor, GMAC, for that DC team that allowed them to go out and get that win.
Yeah, and hey, look, you don't need a whole lot of extra motivation in a championship game, especially when you've come up short and they experienced that disappointment, that heartbreak 3 years ago. But at the end of the day, man, this was big. So it'll be curious to see. I'll be real curious to see, what happens with Te'amu, because I don't disagree. I think he's got all the potential to be an NFL player. Now, like I said, probably not an NFL starter, but as far as a guy that's on a roster somewhere, he's accurate. He can get the ball. He's got a quick release, got plenty of arm. He's got enough mobility. He's probably a guy that I think should be able to, I don't know, probably parlay this performance into an opportunity to play at the next level.
Yeah, I think it's feasible to be able to see it that way and look at it through that lens. All right, when we come back, Father's Day over the weekend, which means a lot of folks going out to eat, a lot of folks having different type meals. How much does or should your palate change over time? We'll discuss that next on Mac and Cube in the morning. The breakdown at the breakdown CFB tweets in Nebraska. They have a workable schedule, a full offseason with Dana Holgerson's offense. I think in Matt Rule's third year again, he makes a huge stride. I do love how we'll allow certain things to be if they fit into the way we need them to, like a full offseason in his offense. But as opposed to at other points in time, you would say, well, it's still a new offense, and you've only had the offseason to work through it and be able to figure it out, and that's not going to be enough. So a lot of other things still up to discuss, a lot of other things that we need to mention, but there is something new coming to Birmingham, something that you need to be excited about. And I know for me personally, I'm pumped up about this. I know that when you talk about being able to go see different acts, being able to go see different places, different people at different venues across Alabama, that there's a new one coming in the Coca-Cola Amphitheater is going to be here with their first new show on June the 22nd. In to talk to us about it now is Jay Wilson of Red Mountain Entertainment. And Jay, I know there's a lot of people that are pumped up about the Coca-Cola Amphitheater. I'm actually pumped up about your first act, June the 22nd. Matt Riff is somebody who I think is hilarious. I'm a big fan of. Would love to go see him and love to go check that out. But just give us an idea first and foremost about this venue, what people need to know, what people need to expect.
Well, it's good to be with you guys this morning. And by the way, Oklahoma is my team. And as excited as I am about John Mateer, there is no way he's leading them to a natty. They're going to be lucky to go 6-6. So
6-6 is nothing. They'll be fine getting to that.
There's no way they're a long shot. No, we're really excited. We've been working on this project for 8 years. It's an incredible partnership between the BJCC, the city of Birmingham, Jefferson County, and my company, Live Nation. Couldn't be more thrilled to have partnered with Coca-Cola United to name this venue the Coca-Cola Amphitheater. Been working on that for 3 years. I mean, in 7 days. And we're actually going to start this venue with one of the hottest comedians in America, Matt Rife, on Sunday, June 22. We roll right into Dave Matthews Band, Def Leppard. Thomas Rhett, I just heard from our tour folks that they're saying that this is his best show ever. Huge production, amazing video. It's a show not to miss. Jason Isbell. And then just, another 25 shows throughout the rest of the year with Whiskey Myers and Luke Bryan and Rod Stewart and James Taylor, and 2 nights with Fish, Nelly, Charlie Wilson, 21 Pilots. I mean, we literally have all genres for everyone. So we've been working on this for a while, and it's right around the corner, and we couldn't be more thrilled.
Well, it's really exciting, and to just see some of the names. I mean, it's kind of amazing to see Jason Aldean and some of the others that'll be coming this direction. Parker McCollum's one of my favorites. He'll be here on July 25th. I'm really fired up, and I know Cole's fired up about Toto. And
who wouldn't be? My
dad went to high school with
him.
Hey,
you know what? Can I tell you something? Toto, that show's going to blow your mind. It's going to be a great show. So
my dad went to high school with Toto. But you need to respect him. And just because you don't know the lyrics to Africa or Rosanna, Cole, you need to get buttoned up. That'll be on July 21st. It just feels That's like, right. And it's kind of like with Protective and with the adjustments and the growth that we've seen and the investment that we've seen in the BJCC, that whole area is just becoming such a destination. And now all these live acts are starting to acknowledge, hey, this is a huge opportunity in Birmingham, Alabama to go and have a great show. So it just feels like it really opens the door and kind of elevates the quality of act that we're able to get here in town.
Well, it elevates the type of acts that we can get because of the way that we've designed the venue and the stage house and how much steel we've got and all of those kind of artist amenities. But I got to tell you, this amphitheater, I liken it to what happened when the baseball field moved downtown, Regions Park, and what you saw happening over by Railroad Park, and now all that development all the way over to 65, that area has just exploded. That's what's about to happen up just a few blocks north of Protective Stadium and Topgolf. Our venue is really just an extension of the BJCC campus and uptown. People are going to be really shocked by how close it is to that whole area. And over the next 2 or 3 years, that whole north side Druid Hills community is going to blow up. So we're psyched and just very happy to be sort of the early engine that's going to drive that development. I mean, the city's doing an amazing job paving the roads, new sidewalks, lighting. We've got an incredible parking plan. There's 2 decks right across the street from the entrance. We've got 10 lots that are within a 5 to 8 minute walk. They're all secure, lighted. You can do prepaid parking on the website. JCC is going to run shuttles and trolleys from uptown, so you can grab a bite down at one of those great restaurants. There's a dedicated rideshare drop-off. You can get to this place a lot of different ways, and we feel really great about our plan.
One thing I like about it is that y'all are offering some season tickets, it sounds like. Along with those season tickets are, the seats, parking, VIP club access, all that stuff. So help us understand what you get if you decide to purchase a season ticket.
Well, I would love to go into detail, but honestly, our entire premium package has sold out for the year. I think that once we started announcing all of these shows and people saw how beautiful this 9,000 and her premium team they are literally sold out. So I'm sure there's a waiting list and you can go on the website and check it out. But I don't want to make people too jealous, but the normal venue is going to be just fantastic with lots of great food options. Live Nation has spent a lot of time and effort on their food and beverage program. They're not just offering cheap hot dogs and hamburgers. I mean, they're doing smash burgers by Mosh Burger and Ziggy's Magic Pizza and Coco's Bavarian. They're going to even serve CVT soft ice cream in a pouch. So the plazas are big. You can come early. You can have some great food, hang out with your friends, and you can see downtown Birmingham from the seats. It's a world-class venue that we're very proud to be, part of the growth of what's happening downtown and around the BJCC, and just really psyched that it's here.
Did you say ice cream in a pouch?
Ice cream in a pouch, yes, sir.
I'm just curious how that happens. How that
we
works.
I'm
curious. I want that.
Well, it's called CVT, and it's a company that Live Nation is doing at all their venues around the country. And instead of having a cup and it's hot in the summer and you're scooping it and it's dribbling all over your shirt and on your chin, they figured let's put it in a pouch and you can just put it right up to your mouth and keep it clean and easy. So pretty smart stuff, I think.
I love that. No, I'm all. It sounds like the consumption will be a lot easier and a lot faster. So that process, good for me. You mentioned a little bit about sort of the geography, not necessarily where you are, but how this thing was built, the structure itself, some of the acoustics.
Yep.
Can you take us a little further into just why that might heighten the experience for some of these acts that are coming to Birmingham?
Well, this venue was built on right across the street from the old Caraway Hospital. I don't know if y'all remember, but there used to be 3 life flight helicopters that were sitting on a helicopter pad right up there at the top of the hill, and that's where we built the amphitheater. It's sort of in a natural bowl, looks out over the city. So somebody mentioned to me the other day that Caraway used to be the #1 trauma hospital in America. So now what we've done is we're building the #1 place to rock and roll in Alabama. So we're very, very thrilled about this.
What are some of the plans? You already kind of referenced parking. You've already referenced a little bit, where it goes. But I've noticed, look, those big events, it's a little confusing sometimes to go. You talk about the shuttle service. That makes it great. It seems like you guys have already kind of dotted every I and crossed every T as far as the logistics are concerned. But for those, just so we can make sure we really hone in, what do we need to know for parking if they are attending this opening concert or this opening comedy show here on the 22nd?
Well, the easiest thing is to go to CocaColaAmphitheater.com, and you have to put a dash between Coca and Cola. There's a whole section devoted to parking. It'll explain everything to you. It'll show you all the maps where all the lots are. You can click a link and go and buy prepaid parking right there. Laz, which is a national parking company we've been working with for over a year to put a plan together. all around manned, and literally punch in the address of the lot that you've got your ticket to, and the GPS will take you right to the parking lot. You get out of your car. It's a secure lot. You walk 5, 6, 7 minutes, and you're at the front door. So I think the easiest way, instead of me explaining it, is just to look at the visual of the map on our website, and you'll get a really clear understanding about how much parking we've got, and actually how close up, just a few blocks. So you can walk, you can ride the shuttle. It's easily accessible from all the interstates. So we feel really good about how close we are to the BJCC campus.
And it all starts with Matt Rife coming up. If folks are interested, they want to go, they want tickets, they want to be a part of it, how can they do it?
They can go to the Coca-ColaAmphitheater.com website. They can go to livenation.com. All of those places will lead you to Ticketmaster, and looking really forward to starting off an amazing new venue with one of the hottest comedians, and then right into Dave Matthews, who's arguably one of the biggest acts for the last 25 years. Oh, I'm sorry, and Def Leppard. So those are 3 massive shows for the first 4 days, and here we figured we'd start with a bang,
How do you do a Dave Matthews concert on a Tuesday and then Def Leppard comes in the next day? Like that's pretty impressive to have the turnaround like that. It must have an incredible staff.
Well, it's an incredible staff. The amphitheater and the size of the stage. And we can line up 9 semis on the back of the loading dock. So when Dave Matthews says, "Thank you, good night, Birmingham," they'll load that entire show, which is probably, 12 semis or something. They'll load that whole thing out in 2 hours, and they'll be gone. Jesse's staff will clean the place. And then Def Leppard is going to roll in at 7 the next morning, almost like there was not a show there the day before. We've got great stagehands, great staff, and these tours that are out there now are amazing. They run like a Swiss watch, so they're in and out. And I remember when they called me about Def Leppard and said, "Hey, can you do Wednesday, June 25th?" I called the operations folks and said, "Are you sure we can do back-to-back?" And they looked at me and said, "Heck yeah, let's go." So, we're ready to go. So it's going to be fun.
Well, I know I'm in for Matt on June 22nd, so I plan on being there because he's one of my favorite dudes to watch. He's entertaining, there's no doubt. So I know the other folks in Birmingham will be there as well, and then the subsequent acts. I know a lot of people here are going to be interested. Jay, we appreciate you hopping on with us today to discuss it, talk about it. It's awesome to have that venue here in Birmingham, and I know a lot of people are going to take advantage of it.
Well, I listen to y'all every morning, and y'all are super cool, very smart, and thank you for having me on this morning. I appreciate you.
We appreciate you. There you go. Jay Wilson with Red Mountain Entertainment talking about the new Coca-Cola Amphitheater. Matt Riff on June 22nd. Going to be fun to go see him. And then obviously you got Def Leppard coming up after that. You've got – I saw Rod Stewart down the way also.
The lineup,
band. Rod
the
Stewart,
lineup is
the greatest individual performance I've seen live, musical performance.
Really?
Not overall concert because that would be Jay-Z, Eminem, and Yankee Stadium. But just like individual show – Rod Stewart crushed it. Unbelievable. So you forget the amount of smash hits he has.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It was an amazing show.
Think about this first week. You got Matt Rife on Sunday. You got Dave Matthews Band on Tuesday. You got Def Leppard on Wednesday. You got Thomas Rhett on Friday. And you got Jason Isbell on Saturday. You're just going to camp out?
That's what, 4 or 5 in a week?
That's 5.
5 in a week.
5 in a 5 in a 7-day period.
NBA players don't even do that.
So they're off on Monday and they're off on Thursday. Other than that, they're rolling.
You got Alabama Shakes coming, Riley Green coming, Dierks Bentley coming. There's a lot of Pantera, James Taylor.
It's so
together?
Good.
Not together.
Oh, okay.
No.
Let's say
that'd be the mashup that the people need.
Fish for 2 days. I bet Grilled Cheese for Hugs Lady's gonna be down there for that. I might have to make a stop just in the crowd, try to get a couple grilled cheese for hugs.
I would imagine the group message right now, all jacked up about the Fish concert. All my buddies, Fish guys.
Of course they are.
Reflection on my friend group.
Be careful. Haney's listening. He make a match.
Exactly.
You can get a 2-day ticket.
Correct.
For Fish. Do you just sleep there?
Yes. Take your sleeping bag. Do you fall asleep or do you pass out?
Which time?
Saturday, the 13th of September, so when Fish will be here. I have friends that are doing the Alabama-Wisconsin game at 11, taking a bus back and going to fish.
That's a day.
That's healthy.
Good luck. Bye, liver. That's my buddy currently sends me his fish tickets that he already has printed out and is excited about them.
Bro.
Literally. Look at this.
Yeah, bro.
He's sitting in section 204, so make sure you pat him on the back.
Just pat all 204.
Yeah. Not all of it. No, he just has 2 seats, but
percentage of the participants at Coca-Cola Amphitheater at Fish that also listen to Mac and Cube. Over or under 10%?
way over.
Way under.
over.
I'm going to go under.
The mashup between fish and college football is massive.
John, you've been missing out on Fish bumper music then. That's a loss for us. What's your favorite Fish song, John?
That one.
Greg?
The one where Fish sings.
The one that's over 20 minutes?
Yeah. 20's on the low end.
The one? Oh, wait, come on now.
I just love it because I don't know when one song ends and the other begins. By the way, I think it's tremendously talented music. Like from a musical standpoint, I think they're tremendously talented. Like the endurance that they show.
What part is the talent? Like, what's your favorite part?
Jamming.
Like the harmonica?
Just straight jam.
Bongos? What's your
Jam
favorite
sesh.
part? Just the ability to jam. That's
I'm
their
sure.
best part?
I'm sure this is shocking to most of our listeners. I don't listen to a lot of Fish, but all my friends do. So I will never speak poorly about them because I would have no friends.
I can't speak poorly of them. I have no reference point.
I just love that there is a rivalry between Fish and like Dead and Co. and I don't even remember the other one. Widespread. That's right. Oh, it's a rivalry.
Who's the real
Stoner standoff?
Who are the real jammers?
I just like the music. No, you don't. Tell me what you really like. Tell me what you like about going. You get to feel like you're 21 again. It's fine. It's fine. I love it. I'm all for
I
it.
bet you don't the next morning.
Hey,
What is that genre referenced as?
Jam bands?
Jam bands.
Oh. What's better, jams or jam bands?
Jams with an S or a Z?
I thought jams were going to be back for a minute, like 5 years ago, and it didn't happen.
Jams is in like what you put like a spread on an English muffin. Like what jams are you referring?
That's jelly, son.
All right. When we come back, what are the best non-sports rivalries? Right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Greg, quickly tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Bromberg's best. Been going there forever. Really always appreciate the experience that I have the second I walk in the door. It's really, really amazing. The selection, the service, the quality of the things that you buy from Bromberg's. It's just, there's a reason why they've been in business for almost 200 years. It's just absolute luxury the second you walk in the door. But it's the sales staff that really sets them apart and takes it to the next level. Just elevates that experience every single time. You can shop online, check them out at brombergs.com, but I highly encourage everybody to go into their store in Mountain Brook Village or at the Summit. It's Brombergs. They're the very best. You'll understand the second you walk in why. So go and check them out in person and visit with their incredible sales staff.
Best non-sports rivalries. You guys come up with any?
Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears.
Oh, that's a good
Okay.
one. Mac PC.
Coke, Pepsi.
Coke Pepsi's on my
Backstreet Boys,
list.
NSYNC.
Nike Reebok is on my list. DC Marvel on my list. Pancake Waffle.
Underrated.
Waffle House IHOP.
Blink-182, Green Day.
That's a rivalry?
Dumb.
I mean, they were on tour together.
Dead Widespread Fish would be the only three-way rivalry I could come up with.
Yes,
Republicans, Democrats.
Yeah.
that's sports.
LimeWire, Napster.
Ooh, that's a good one.
man.
But there were so many options there.
Bagel, English Muffin.
That's a
Good one.
one-sided rivalry.
Yeah, I think
Iran, Israel. That might also be
it's
That one's
it's heating up.
Talk 99.5 down the hall.
HBO, Showtime.
That's one-sided.
not a
one-sided.
rivalry.
Yeah. that's-
Rolling Stones, Beatles.
Not
Is that
a
a
rivalry.
rivalry?
Not
I think
a
more
rivalry.
Who and Zeppelin's a rivalry.
Poison, Def Leppard.
I couldn't tell you.
Jam bands.
Poison, Whitesnake.
Jam bands and trash.
Biggie Tupac.
Oh, that's a good one.
Pick
East,
two.
West, rap.
Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow we'll have more.
You said East versus West.
The whole thing. The whole part of the country.